Departed Citadel, Pied Piper, what's up? What's up, Ruben? Renewed awareness, what's up? So there's a lot of students walking by right now, so I'm just gonna wait to see if somebody comes up to the table, and if not, then I'll get started with the topic at hand today, right? So since our last conversation, what have you been, thinking about, or is there anything that I might have missed last time that we had this conversation, or? So regarding the physics of water, basically.
Okay. I still hold my opinion.
Okay.
And I did look at your YouTube channel.
Okay.
And
is there anything that you disagree that I say in my channel?
So I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch. I basically skimmed through the videos.
So you didn't listen to none of the points that I bring up?
Like some, I don't really remember most of them. I kind of read a lot of.
The water physics, is it like a 5th grade question?
Yeah, it is. You want to give it a shot? No. It's a multiple choice. Huh? No, you'll get it. It's very easy, but it's okay if you don't want to try it. I mean, nobody's really stupid. Trust me. It's only if you actually believe it, but I don't think anybody's really stupid, you know what I'm saying? We have common sense, that's what keeps you alive, so that's all we need, believe it or not.
I've been failing too many tests. I don't want to fail.
all right. I mean, do you have any questions for me, I guess?
I don't know. I'm more interested in, okay, so my beliefs in our system of physics and math, etc., is too strong. I can see where you're coming from, but it just seemed, at least for me, there's always like some way to disprove it,
right.
So it's hard for me to believe it. So.
Have you heard of cognitive dissonance?
Yes.
Do you think
Okay, but I'm more.
Hey, come on over right here in front of the camera so they know too.
Right.
I'm more. I was gonna revisit the videos and I kind of forgot. I should probably look at them. I'm more interested in the philosophical side of things.
Yeah, I could give you a flyer. I don't know. I'll give you a flyer. You can take a look.
Scientific stuff.
Yeah. So
purely because there's less concrete evidence.
Okay. So when we're talking about science, I don't know if you knew, there's 3 branches of science. Do you know the 3 branches? So there's natural science, which is has to do with the natural world, physics, biology, chemistry, real stuff, measurements, right? That's natural science. Then there's formal science, which is language-based. It only exists in language, right? Concepts, ideas, theories, for example, right? Then we have social sciences, which has to do with psychology, social engineering, basically. So when we're talking about the shape of the Earth, we're talking about natural science, which is substance, right? They're making a claim about the globe, that the surface of water bends. That's physics, right? Natural science. The globe only offers formal science. That's the thing. They don't offer natural science. Formal science, again, is language-based, which is based on the idea that objects accelerate down, right? So the whole heliocentric model is based on the idea that there's a force pulling stuff to the ground. And based on that idea, again, it's not facts, the whole heliocentric model came to be. So the whole heliocentric model is an idea based on an idea that's based on nothing, basically, based on an assumption, basically. So that's where the whole globe model is conceptual, basically. It's formal science, it's not natural science. Natural science, all the proofs that are in that flyer have to do with natural science.
Wait, so
water.
You believe like that?
So it's not a belief system.
Oh,
this is a practicality. This is the real world, physics,
I know,
physical.
Yeah.
The blueprints, the physics of water, the horizon. All of that debunks the globe.
Like what I meant by the statement is that even in natural sciences,
right,
there are disagreements on how to do certain things or what we
I agree.
believe
That will be a discovery. You would have to share your discovery practically, so that natural science can move forward. That's how technology comes to be.
There's a lot of stuff where one person says one thing and they have all this data to prove it, and then another person says something else and they also have other data to prove it. So now there's a disagreement because it's like, are they both right? Are they both wrong?
When we're talking about data, if you're just bringing data with no practical experiment to show where you got this data from, then that data to me could be fake. Could be,
right. It needs to be reproducible.
Exactly. That's a scientific method. Exactly. Measurable, testable, repeatable. That's natural science. Again, if we go back to the globe, it's not natural science. It's just stories from 2,000 years ago. Aristotle supposedly measured the Earth's circumference with sticks and shadows. These are just assumptions. So they didn't measure the curve of the Earth. They measured the circumference based on the assumption that they believed it was a ball already. So the sticks and shadows experiment could easily be explained with a small local sun.
But I think what this comes down to is that technically it's reproducible. The data is reproducible. But like a rocket, go out, and I think that's like the big debate. It's like, okay, they're giving all this data.
I remember you.
How are you guys? I don't got time right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it short too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what the disagreement is that like the government says, like this is the data and you're supposed to believe it.
Okay, let me ask you, I'm not trying to catch you on, but when you're talking about data, like the government shows us data about the Earth.
I'm just using that as a buzzword.
Oh, you're using it like
an abstract
open. Okay, I see. You're using it open-ended.
Right.
Nothing specific. Okay. That's my point.
Right.
When you try to look for the specifics of the globe Earth claims to try to physically prove them, you can't find it. That's my point.
The easiest way would just be, okay, build a rocket, go up into space, but not everyone can just be.
No, I understand. No, but to be honest, I personally, this is my opinion, obviously. I feel like you have a strong cognitive dissonance. I feel like this information, it's a bit much for you to accept, because of what you believe, like you said, you have a strong belief. It's a strong core belief, which again has to do with cognitive dissonance. It's hard for you to look at something alternative because that's what you were born into. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I came across this too, I couldn't accept it either. I had to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and little by little, it just fell apart.
I'm not sure if it's that I'm not willing to accept it. It's just that.
Well, you don't even have to accept it. Accept physics.
It's my thought process is, we talked about. Okay, so like I said, I think what it comes down to is that, let's say I wanted to know, not relying on anyone else's information. I want to know is the Earth is it flat or is it a globe?
Right, that's a good point to start.
So
in the middle.
The best way.
It's not flat. It's level. So I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. So this whole topic, it's the #1 censored topic right now on the internet, and the way they're censoring it is they're not removing videos like mine talking to people. What they're doing is they're demoting all of genuine people talking, and they're promoting all the propaganda, the ridicule. So that's how they misrepresent. They ridicule it, they misrepresent, they use a lot of straw man arguments that I don't make. And basically, I'm not saying everybody that claims this is controlled opposition, but anybody that's claiming the Earth is motionless or flat and motionless, I would say most likely they're controlled opposition. In other words, they're just pretending. They're just trying to make it look ridiculous, because the Earth is not motionless.
That makes sense.
You know, so it's like the politics. You know, they want to control both sides. So this whole motionless flat Earth versus the spinning globe, that's the psyop. They want people just debating ideas, because again, the idea that objects accelerate towards the ground, hasn't been proven. It's just an idea. I don't know if you knew Einstein's theory of relativity. Basically proves.
Questioning him?
Yeah, Einstein actually debunked Newton's laws of motions. Yeah, or Newton's theory of gravity, basically. So again, they want people just debating ideas.
Yeah,
and
that's a big topic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if this was true, think about it. Could you think of a bigger lie? No, right?
I'm gonna be real. That brain power is not there.
No worries.
So continuing.
Yeah.
So
you guys want to take a flyer? I mean, you guys want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
I have two very elementary, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Test?
Yeah, kind of. Two multiple choice, very easy, elementary level. So, when water is contained, when we have water and air in a bottle, for example, and the bottle's at rest, could we agree that water always fills the bottom of the container, pushing the air to the top, regardless of the orientation? You know,
Correct.
Water always goes to the bottom, and air gets pushed to the top.
Is that a question or?
No, that's a fact. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, that's the question.
No, that's not the question.
Oh, that's
I'm prepping you for the question.
Oh, okay.
So would you agree though that water is
Yeah,
always
yeah.
in the bottom and air is always on top?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's physics. So since we understand that fact about water, right? Which one of these two? I painted the water blue just to make it easier to see. Since we understand the physics of water and how it behaves, which one of these two images? Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Which one of these two images is not in the correct orientation? All right, you got it. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah? Why do you guys think this one's not in the correct orientation? Exactly. Yeah, it's
the
pretty easy.
orange
So that's the correct orientation. So you guys got it. That's the first one. You guys got it. So the second one's even easier.
Yeah.
So another thing about water.
I knew that, bro.
Exactly. I told you. So water always finds its level. Would you guys agree? You know, regardless of the orientation, again, water always, finds its level.
Right.
What could be another word for level?
Level?
Floor.
Level. Like a level. If you have something level. Equilibrium's a good one. The one word definition will be horizontal, because if you have a straight line that's on the slope, it's not level. It has to be a horizontal straight line. That's what level means, right? So since we understand that fact about water too, that it always finds its level, which one of these two represents level as we know it? A or B? Okay, that was quick. All right, you guys agree, right? So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you guys, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this one. You guys want to know how we were tricked?
Yeah.
Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yes.
Yeah, so NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they need to know the radius of orbit if they're supposedly going around the Earth. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,159 miles, which gives us a circumference of 24,901 miles, which means there has to be curvature every mile. So in the first mile, there's an 8-inch drop, second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature, and it just keeps increasing. So in 10 miles, there should be 66 feet. So if we actually went out to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature that we're being told, the water is going to show us that it's going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it, like a level structure, right? But they're trying to tell us that the surface of water is bending 8 inches per mile squared, But this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe of physical measurement of the Earth.
Are you a
water.
flat earther?
I'm not a flat earther. No. So the word flat is basically part of how they're censoring this. So they're misrepresenting this topic. So the Earth is not flat; it's level. And I'm going to tell you why it's level, because in order for something to be level, it needs to have orientation, right? And in order for something to have orientation, there needs to be something moving, basically. There needs to be motion. So the water is level to the motion of the Earth. So the Earth is in constant motion. Right. So what they're telling us about gravity being a pulling force is basically a lie. So
what you're saying is the water drops that much?
The water should bend this based on the radius of the Earth. That's the radius they're telling us that the Earth is. But again, the surface of water doesn't bend. That's physics. It always finds its level.
It doesn't look like this.
Exactly. If you go to any lake, this is what the lake is.
So, sorry, we gotta go.
Oh yeah, no problem, man.
I'll see you around.
Yeah, I'll be here. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, what's the #1 proof that makes you believe the Earth is a ball?
Science?
Okay, in specific, what science?
All the pictures that they've taken.
Pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? Okay, so the horizon, would you say? Okay, and
I saw them globes in the classrooms.
that's honest. So it's just what you were told, right? So pictures, I don't know if you knew, NASA, they don't call them pictures, they actually call them images. And the reason they call them images is because they're not photographs. They admit to this. So they call them composites, but they're basically just CGI. They're computer generated. So they admit to this. So a genuine photograph of the Earth from space doesn't exist. So everything they're showing us, any space agency, RAS, the ones from Japan, China, and all those, they look even more ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth, again, is through CGI cartoons like this. These are official NASA pictures, by the way. Or through GoPro cameras that warp horizontal lines. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the fisheye lens. So when you ever see like the Air Force, for example, flying very high supposedly and showing the curve of the Earth, they're usually using a GoPro to give a false perspective. But if we actually use a standard camera without a GoPro lens, basically, this is what the horizon looks like. How would you describe the horizon? Horizontal. Exactly. I would say that's where the word horizon comes from. Yeah. So you think boats go over the curve, right? Would you? Because
it's just the farther they go out.
why do you think though? Why do you think that? You think so? Okay. So the horizon, I don't know if you guys knew, we do have a limit to how far we could see. It's at sea level is about 6 feet. You know, the horizon, and that has to do with how far we can actually see. So everything gets compressed to a point. So if I move this bottle away from you, it's going to appear to start shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink till you can't see it anymore. So there's a vanishing point to our perspective, and then the horizon is that limit, basically. Because when you increase your altitude, the horizon rises with you, and you're able to see more in front of you. So if the Earth was a globe, when we rise up, we should look down at the horizon. In other words, you know, it should be below our feet, and that never happens. Because again, the horizon is just the parent, and the more you increase altitude, the more you see in front of you. So, I mean, let me ask you guys this. Do you think there's a possibility that we have been lied to about the shape of the Earth, or are you guys 100% convinced that it's a ball?
This goes back to my question. Are you a flat earther?
I'm not a flat earther. I'm a realist. I would say a flat earther, again, it's just a term to try to dismiss this, to not take it serious. So I would say that's just part of the ridiculing, again, just to not.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Oh, I do, definitely. So I mean, you guys could check it out.
Well, I'm famous now.
So that's my channel right there. You guys could scan that.
How many subscribers?
A little under 2,000, but my channel doesn't get recommended by YouTube, so because it's part of the censoring. This information is getting demoted. So anybody that's came across my channel has been direct like this, word to mouth, basically. So yeah, my channel will never get recommended by YouTube.
Well, definitely check it out.
Why UCR?
Why UCR?
Because I believe, I mean, isn't this where smart people come to better themselves, right? No, but I'm just trying to challenge the current narrative, because a lot of professors will run away from this topic. They will not have this conversation with me. They would run away.
Now we got the YouTube channel.
I'm sorry?
So we'll definitely check it out. Now we got the YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
definitely,
So
yeah.
check it out.
That's the only way this is going to spread.
This was dope as
Hey,
hell.
man, thank you. You guys have a good one. Yeah, the upside down question, I think that's better. They got it quick. That was the goal, by the way, too. So yeah, I think saying that when you have water and air in a water bottle, regardless of the orientation, the water will always fill the bottom, pushing the air to the top. Obviously, when it's at rest, you know, the air will always be in the bottom. I mean, the water will always be in the bottom, and we will always push the air to the top. So you always have the water and the air, you know. I think, and then showing the pictures after explaining that, you guys just seen how quick they were able to answer it. So hopefully this this new way of asking it is gonna work better. I think so. All right, so let's get to the title, right? Let me just see if there's anybody. I'm not a flat earther. I'm a skeptic. Oh, that was a good way to say that too. A skeptic. One man, his detector. What's up? All right, so what's the lie? The one lie that's bigger than the shape of the Earth? And in my opinion, it is the biggest lie on Earth, bigger than the shape of the Earth. It's that objects accelerate down. You know, so releasing an object and claiming that objects accelerate down in free fall is the biggest lie on Earth. Why? Because if it wasn't for that lie, the heliocentric model wouldn't even exist as an idea even. Nobody would take it serious. Think about that. The only grounds that the globe Earth has is that this assumption, again, it's an assumption, that objects get accelerated down by a magical force, right? That's in the air, and it accelerates everything down with no displacement, right? Based on that idea, they were to come up with a theory of gravity. Then they came up with the whole outer space theory, basically, and orbits around the sun based on this idea of gravity. That's based on the idea that objects accelerate down. Again, if people didn't believe that objects accelerate down, you could never push a globe Earth model, because it requires that. You know, it requires people to be ignorant in that aspect, you know, when it comes to motion, you know. And in my opinion, that's why object accelerating down is the biggest lie on Earth. And now you have stationary or motionless flat earthers basically claiming the same thing as globe earthers now. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's doing it deliberately, but regardless, you're subliminally defending the globe. You're literally defending the only defense the globe has, which is making people believe that objects accelerate down. Now you have motionless flat earthers basically in cahoots with globe earthers, whether they like it or not. You guys are in agreement on this idea. Again, it's ideology, it's not physics, it's not provable, it's not actual. It's an idea that objects accelerate down. So, in my opinion, because obviously the globe Earth is a cult. Why? Because cults are based off of ideology, you know? Literally, cults are based off of ideology, and they base their lives around it, right? And their whole existence, basically, you could say. And that's what makes the globe Earth, in a way, a cult. Now, the motionless flat Earth is no different. They'll have their own little cosmology, their own little map and everything, and their own little reasons to why objects fall. Again, they're just ideas, which in my opinion is no different than a cult. Again, why? Because it's based on an idea, you know, that objects accelerate down, and based on a theory, basically. You know what I'm saying? So the motionless flat Earth is a cult by default, by definition, you know, because it's ideology, you know, period. Motionless flat Earth is ideology, you know. It's not provable, it's not measurable, and it's not repeatable because it doesn't exist. Objects don't accelerate down in free fall. There's no physics or anything practical to show that. And if anything, it shows the opposite. It shows that there's no acceleration, you know, and that all the motion only happens when in contact with the Earth. That's when you get the buoyancy effect, again, which buoyancy is a push. It's an upwards push. That's what buoyancy is. That's why the air is able to push the air up, because the water is able to push the air up because the water is being pushed as well. That's where the word pressure comes from, because it's being pressed. You know, it's in the language. All the hints are in the language. You know, so I would say anybody that claims the Earth is motionless, right? What's causing helium to be pushed up? Let me see. What's causing helium to be pushed up on a motionless Earth? Another one, for people that claim that it's weight, the reason why things fall, right? Things fall because of their weight. Does helium have negative weight? Think about that. Things fall because of their weight. You're basically claiming that helium must have some negative weight or something. So helium is kind of like tiny little black holes, you know, or something that's, you know, like what the fuck, like, you know? Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, I do have a short video that I wanted to show, which in my opinion was the next step once they got people to accept the lie that objects accelerate down, right? Because again, without that lie, you don't have a heliocentric model. You just don't. It's just impossible. Think about it. If objects don't accelerate down and it's the Earth that's in constant motion, how can you even propose a sphere? You know, let alone what's outside of it. Like, it's fucking ridiculous, you know. But yeah, I'll be going over the video that was basically the next step once they got people to again accept the object accelerate down, because this is the way they will be able to create their globe Earth model, you know. So they're basically using celestial navigation. They're using the celestial sphere, which is in our heads, our eyeballs. They're using the geometry of vision and extracting it and claiming it's the geometry of the Earth. And that's how they were able to, that's the second step, to get people to accept that Earth was a globe. They took our vision perspective and then flipped it and claimed that it's the Earth's surface that's curving. It's not perspective. It's not the curve of our eye that's creating, these apparent drops. It's the curve of the Earth that's creating these drops. So yeah, I'll be going over a video real quick just to highlight that point. I kind of shortened it. Here it is. So I'll just let it play, and then I kind of want to make some points before we continue.
Here's a definition of a nautical mile from a mathematical textbook, yeah? And a nautical mile is defined as the length of the arc of a great circle which subtends an angle of 1 minute at the center of the Earth. So you're supposed to believe that
Well, by the way, for those of you who don't know, this is Vortex Puppy's YouTube channel. I'll probably put a link in the video after or in the description for those of you who want to check him out. And yeah.
The Earth is a big solid ball, yeah, and it has a center. And a nautical mile, as seen here on the right-hand side in an orthographic view, is then the angle, the length of this arc here. So this very small arc, it's the length of that when the angle at the center is exactly 1 minute. And it's seen here, 1 minute, there's 60 minutes in 1 degree. We usually know that a circle has 360 degrees. And each degree has 60 minutes, which basically makes 21,600 minutes in a circle, yeah? And one of these minutes is then the arc length from the center of the Earth is what they define to be a nautical mile. So that's one definition of a nautical mile. I'm going to produce another one here, which is different. This is a practical definition of a nautical mile, and also the way people navigate on water. So the way it's defined is that a nautical mile is the length or the distance that you need to travel to see a change in altitude of 1 minute of something. Yeah. So altitude is basically the visible position of, let's say, a lighthouse. So here's a lighthouse on the left-hand side. There's me at this position, and you, Dale, slightly closer to the lighthouse. Now we are going to see that light in a different visible position from each other. Yeah. And if we wanted to calculate the distance between us, if you see that light 1 minute dropped in your visible vision than me, then we know that we're 1 nautical mile apart. Yeah. And that's the way people navigate. Normally they don't use lighthouses, they'll use the sun or the moon. They'll take a sighting, and that way they can, to travel. So that's the whole concept of the celestial sphere, which I'm not going to get into too much detail. But the important thing is here, if you distance yourself from an object, in this case a light tower, and the thing drops 1 minute in your visible place, or its visible position in your field of view, then you know you've traveled 1 nautical mile. And that's the way people navigate all around the world, Dale. Yeah. Today. Yeah. And
so just real quick to summarize that, so 1 minute is basically 1/60th of a degree drop. So 60 minutes will be 1 degree of drop, which will be 60 nautical miles basically. So the 1/60th of a degree, 1 minute, will represent 1 nautical mile basically. Yeah.
See that
which is based on vision. You know what I'm saying? That the drop.
These two different definitions are completely different, right? So this one is relying on a mathematical model telling us that we're on a ball and defining what a nautical mile is based on the idea that, the Earth is a radius and there's a ball. In fact, they say that a nautical mile, the radius of the Earth is 3438 nautical miles. So that's a mathematical concept, and this one is a practical concept. You know, you're on water, we know water's level, and if you move backwards from a luminary or from a light in 1 nautical mile, then it will change its visible position. It will basically drop in your visual field 1 minute, 1 arc minute. So, given those two different definitions, the question that really comes up is, which one's real? You know, this is the one they all want us to believe, right? And this is the reality of the situation. And here's a little bit of text, just, you know, for people who want to follow along. And it, a nautical mile is the length of the arc of a great circle, which subtends an angle of 1 minute. And it also introduces the concept of a radian, which I think I'd like to leave to another day. So I'm just going to use this concept of a radian without completely defining it, and we'll come back to that. Sure. But what happens here is that the number of minutes in a radian is equal to the number of nautical miles in the radius of the Earth. Now what pops out basically is this number 3438. Yeah. So that's what they actually tell us the radius of our space ball is in nautical miles. You'll hear different, you know, numbers depending on whether they use statute miles or kilometers or whatever. But as far as nautical miles are going, that is apparently the radius of the Earth, 3438. And as I say, there's two different, if you like, definitions. There's the mathematical model, and then there's the practical model. So bearing that in mind, and this number 3438, I'm going to just jump differently to a different subject, and then we'll come back to it. The different subject I'm going to talk about is visual acuity and the visual angle. So this diagram is taken from a book about 2020 vision. In fact, it's a book, Dale, that in fact, I think I've got it here. Just let me bring it up. Yeah, I have. This is a book written by an American physics department, and it's to do with what size of letters do you need on an eye chart, right? Yeah. So that they are visible. So when you're doing, you know, your eye test, you usually got one of these eye charts with numbers on it, and you stand 15 feet away.
Hey, what's up?
How does this work?
So you guys want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
So I have two very easy elementary level, multiple choice. See if you guys can get at least one. You guys can get both. Okay. But, so it has to do with the orientation of water. So when we have air and water in a water bottle like this, for example, and it's at rest, regardless of the orientation of the bottle, the water will always fill the bottom and always push the air to the top. Yeah. Right? That's physics, right? Doesn't matter the orientation. Water will always be in the bottom and it push the air to the top, right? Yeah. Since we understand that fact about water, right? When it's contained, which one of these two is not in the correct orientation? I painted the water blue just to make it easier to see. Mm-hmm. You know, number two. Okay. Do you guys agree that this is the one that's not in the correct orientation?
What do you think? You gotta say your answer, too. Why did you say number two? Huh?
I mean, why did you say number two?
No, because like if we were looking at it from this perspective,
yeah, that's all.
For sure, the blue should be on bottom.
Exactly.
The water is pushing it out.
You got it. Yeah. So I took that one like this. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. So this one was.
I was like wondering how you did that one.
Yeah, I took it holding it up like that. So you got it because the water obviously can't stick to the top. You know, that's obvious. So the second one's even easier. So another thing about water, you know, again, regardless of the orientation, it always finds its level. Yeah. You know, that's another fact about water, right? Especially when it's at rest. So, since we understand that fact about water as well, which one of these two represents level as we know it? A or B? A. Water always finds it. Okay.
A.
You guys agree, right? Yeah, obvious, right? So, the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you guys, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this one. You guys want to know how we were tricked?
Yeah, sure.
Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah.
Or a sphere, right? So NASA in specific, they came to have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,159 miles, which means there has to be curvature every mile. And the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile is 6 feet. So every mile it just keeps increasing because they're not claiming Earth is a pyramid or a slope, right? They're claiming it's a curve, right? Because that's what makes a sphere. So by 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of curvature. So if we actually went to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the physics of water, water is going to show us that it's going to be parallel to anything horizontal, right? So in my opinion, this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe, a physical measurement of the Earth, water in specific, So if I was to ask you guys, what's the #1 proof or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
I mean, as when we were enter in primary school, and we were teach those stuff, and we were also shown with footage and
okay, so pictures and videos that you were showing. Okay, so I don't know if you knew NASA and any other space agency for that matter, but now I'll focus on NASA. So all the photos that they show us, they admit they're not photos, so they're images, call them images. And part of the reason is because again, they're not photographs, so they make these in a computer. For example, so like this is from 2002 and from 2012. So again, these are CGI. They admit to these. No genuine photograph of the Earth as a ball exists, basically. So if I was to ask you, can you find any difference between these two? Is there a big difference between the two?
Not much.
The size of the
there you go. So again, whenever you see images from outer space of the globe, you're gonna see a lot of different, because again, different countries are gonna depict it differently. Because again, they're all being made in a computer. Because if the Earth was truly a globe and they were truly taking photographs, then all the images should look very similar, right? You know what I'm saying? But the size, the fact that the continents are different sizes, you know what I'm saying? That just shows what they're saying is true, that they're not real, you know what I'm saying? But again, we don't even have to believe them. We just go with physics, with what physics shows.
Which one's from what source?
Oh, these are both from NASA.gov. Yeah, you can look them up. They have plenty more,
But from different years, or
Yeah, this one's 2002 and 2012.
Okay.
So they're almost 20 years old. This one over 20 years old, right? So I'm pretty sure the one they have current now is going to look even more different, Well, I mean, they claim it's an oblate spheroid, right? I don't know if you guys heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say that. But in the images they show us, they're perfect spheres. So that kind of contradicts that pear-shaped Earth that they're telling us that it is, right?
Yeah.
But so just before you guys go, real quick. So the only place you're ever going to see curvature is through CGI images like that or through GoPro cameras. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the fisheye lens.
Oh, yeah.
It warps horizontal lines, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only way you're able to see curvature of the Earth. If you actually use a standard camera and send it up in a high altitude balloon, for example, this is what the horizon actually looks like without any distortion, basically. How would you guys describe the horizon?
Relatively flat.
I mean, geometrically, how would you describe it? Horizontal, I would say.
From those pictures, it's
Yeah, exactly. A horizontal line, though, because it's not a slope. Earth, we're not, on a slope. We don't live on a slope. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, let me ask you guys this. If we were truly being lied to about the shape of the Earth, hypothetically, would that be something important to know?
Probably.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people I would ask, they would say even if it was flat, right? They say flat, but it's not flat, but it's level. What difference will it make, right?
Now, I would say change a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would say those people are intellectually lazy. They don't understand the significance of this light, how it encompasses not even our lives, but the whole school system, for example. Again, going up to NASA, and again, we're being if this was true, in other words, if we're being told lies about, then we're being lied to about our existence as humans as well, about the nature of what human beings are what we should be doing here. You know what I'm saying? So again, a lot of people that just dismiss this as it's not important. Again, I would say that's part of the programming to just dismiss this, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of ridicule going on with this topic, which is why I'm out here. One of the reasons why I'm out here. Okay. Because there's a lot of misrepresenting online, so a lot of mainstream channels will never talk about the physics of water, for example, especially measuring it. What they're going to talk about is laser experiments. You've probably heard of laser experiments. No? So the reason why laser experiments are being used in the mainstream is because we all know refraction is a thing, right? When you shine light through water, for example, or there's going to be refraction. The light's not going to go straight. Yeah. So you're always going to get an inconclusive measurement when you're measuring the surface of the Earth using lasers.
Talking about the ones that they did out in the Utah salt flats?
I think so. Yeah, similar to that. There's this line of sight ones, and then there's laser ones. But again, a physical measurement. Again, that's backed by the scientific method, measurable, testable, repeatable. will show us that the Earth is not a ball. You know what I'm saying? So.
Are you conducting the experiment for this, or?
Oh, so I don't have the funds, obviously, to do this experiment. But NASA, for example, they get over $70 million a day. They can easily build this structure with 1 million, probably, and prove that the water bends. You got to ask yourself, why haven't they done that? They actually avoid talking about the physics of water. All they focus is just cartoons from outer space like this. They'll show you black holes, they'll show you nebulas, and all. I don't know if you guys knew, outer space is just a concept. So it's just somebody's imagination. Nobody knows what's outside of the Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with entropy. Have you guys heard of entropy? Right? It's the second law of thermodynamics, which states that high pressure will always move to a lower pressure instantaneously without a solid barrier. So they're claiming outer space is a negative pressure compared to Earth's 14.7 psi without a solid barrier, but there's no entropy that's happening. You know what I'm saying? They should basically the air of the Earth, of the atmosphere, should get sucked instantaneously by outer space if there's no physical barrier. But
I feel like there's an argument to be made because that entropy only occurs when there's no other forces attracting on the two. Like
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's
so you're saying that gravity is the container.
Yeah, because there's like gravitational force.
And all I would say, because a lot of people would say that, it's the atmosphere containing itself, based on this idea. I don't know if you knew gravity was just a theory. The idea that objects get pulled to the ground. I don't know if you guys knew the Einstein theory of relativity, the new modern theory of relativity, actually debunked that objects accelerate down. There you go. It debunked Newton's. So the fact is that the Earth is actually rising up to the objects. When you release an object, it's the Earth that's coming up to it. So it's not the object coming down towards the Earth. But from a globe perspective, that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding. If the Earth is coming up to objects, then that's where the theory of relativity comes in, because it's just word salad to explain that fact that objects don't accelerate down. But he claims it's the bending and warping of space-time, right? Which nobody actually understands. That's just cartoon physics, basically, to explain that the Earth is in constant motion. But the fact is the Earth is a level plane that is in constant motion, and that's why objects appear to fall. But it's just the Earth coming into contact with them. You know what I'm saying? So again, this whole idea of gravity is just there to basically be able to sell the rest of the model. Orbits, for example, what causes orbits? Gravity, right? And what makes things fall? Gravity, right? What bends water? Gravity, right? What curves airplanes when they're flying level? Gravity, right? So gravity, again, is just a theory to explain away this model, basically. But if we go to physics, which is the opposite of a theory, it's laws, right? That's going to show us that the globe is just conceptual, basically. It's not actual. I mean, you guys have any questions before you guys go? I know.
You got like a page for this or something?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm glad you asked. So I do have a channel. Now my channel doesn't get recommended by YouTube. So this topic's not gonna be popular on YouTube. That's for sure. Especially yeah, you guys can take another one.
Get this?
We'll just take one for the three.
There you go. Yeah. So man, thanks for having the chat. I mean, I'll be here. If you guys have any questions, you guys could leave me a comment. If anything comes up.
Your name's William?
My name's William, yep.
All right, nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, man. You have a good one. Yeah, you too, man.
What is this about?
So, let me start from the beginning. So we'll start with this question, with water, right? When water is contained, when you have water and air in a bottle and it's at rest, would you agree water always goes to the bottom, regardless of the orientation, pushing the air to the top? Right? Yeah. Regardless of orientation, water's always in the bottom and air's always on top. That's physics. Air gets pushed to the top. So since we understand that fact about water, which one of these two images is not in the correct orientation?
I think it's this one.
Yeah, you got it. Why would you say this one?
Because the water's not on the bottom.
You got it. It's that easy. Literally, I took it like this. Yeah, you got it. So another thing about water is that all water always finds its level. Again, part of the same reason. You could tilt the container, but water always remains level, right?
Yeah.
What could be another word for level? If I had to use a different word. So the one word definition is horizontal. You can look it up, but because if we have a straight line that's on a slope, it's not level. It has to be a horizontal straight line, and that's what represents level, So since we understand that fact about water as well, which one of these two represents level, as we know it, A or B?
I'm gonna guess A. I don't know.
I mean, it's the obvious one. That's the one that's parallel, you know, without any bend. I mean, if you look at it like this.
Okay, yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the real reason I do this, I'm sure he heard already, but most of the population believe this is what level means, even though we know it's this one and we have water to prove it. Okay. You want to know how we were tricked, though, to believe this is what level means?
I don't know.
Do you believe the Earth is a ball? A sphere?
I guess.
You're in the middle, you don't really care?
Not really.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth. So this is the radius it tells us the Earth is curving, supposedly. So the water should be bending 8 inches per mile squared everywhere on Earth. So all the lakes should be displaying this curvature. But the fact is that water never bends. The surface of water never bends.
Okay.
You know, it's always a horizontal, level plane or surface, whatever you want to call it. You know? So this is the #1 experiment to debunk the globe. So let me ask you, so you don't really believe the globe then? So I couldn't even ask you what makes you believe that it's a ball then, right?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. I mean, you have any questions for me?
No.
To why I reject the globe? Any other questions?
No.
No? Fair enough. So water is the #1 proof that debunks the globe, just FYI, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, do you have any questions? I know you've been listening.
I mean, like, so you think like the Earth is like a flat plane?
It's not a flat plane, because flat means no dense or indents, right? The Earth clearly has high points and low points. It has mountains, valleys, canyons. So another thing about flat is that flat has nothing to do with orientation, but Earth does have orientation. So level is the correct term. So level is orientation, and it's perpendicular to the vertical, which is the motion of the Earth. So the Earth is in constant motion, and level is just perpendicular to that.
I mean, like how much I was saying like what you're saying about like outer space and like
outer space is a concept. Yeah. Oh, no. Well, first of all, because it defies physics, outer space, being a negative pressure system next to Earth's pressure, just doesn't exist without a solid barrier. Can you think of an example of having two different opposing pressure systems? Can you think of an example of two opposing pressure systems next to each other without a solid barrier? Like if we had a vacuum right here, and we suck the air out of it, right? To create a vacuum. We need that solid cube or a container in order to maintain that vacuum, right? Okay. If we put a hole in that vacuum, what's going to happen?
It's going to like bust, right?
Equilibrium's going to happen.
Okay.
So the air is going to start to rush in. You know what I'm saying? So because when you suck the air out of a vacuum, the air outside starts to want to go in. That's what creates the pressure.
So what do you think? Like the moon landing was? Do you think? Like,
it's just a movie.
You think so?
Yeah.
How do you think they filmed that movie?
Oh, easy. How did they film Gravity? I mean, obviously that was back then, but if you look back at the films...
How did they film Gravity? The movie?
The movie Gravity, but that was using CGI and green screens, I know, but back then they didn't really have that kind of technology, I guess.
They didn't, yeah.
So they used wires. You could clearly see wires. You could clearly see a lot of anomalies with it. It's pretty laughable, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But yeah, the moon landing is, again, it's just, no offense, it's just
I know, it's not like personal attack on me.
It's for the gullible, if you ask me, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, how about like the Mars rover? Like, what do you think
it's the same thing. It's just a movie. Yeah, they actually have a lot of footage of where it's being filmed, and they compare the Mars footage with the Earth footage, and they just change the tint. You know, so it's pretty funny that a lot of people don't care though. Like the guy was just here. You know, they don't care, but they'll still believe it. You know, so that's kind of a way they're getting away with it.
I mean, like, how do you feel about NASA? Do you think they're just like messing with people?
So they're not just messing with you. It's all about control. So it's about controlling the population. If they could get you to accept a theory about your existence, then you're gonna accept the theory of how to live, aka using money, for example. You know, so it's about control.
Can I ask you, like,
sure.
why you think they intentionally like mess with people, or like why they want to control people to believe something that's like?
So there's a couple. I'm not the one.
Why string people along? Like, why make people believe that we send like an RC car to like a different planet just because? Like,
so part of it is to make people narcissistic and nihilistic. For example, if people believe that they came from nothing and that everything is just in a random accident, then people are not going to really take life too serious. But if we actually realize that this was intelligently designed and it was created, then people will look at reality, their own life, a bit different, I believe. But because people believe we're an accident, that kind of, in my opinion, you know, kind of like makes people not care, I guess, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Do you believe in God?
I don't believe in God, for example, like, I know this place was created. What that God is, I don't know. So I acknowledge this place was created by some kind of supernatural or God, whatever you want to call it. I acknowledge. But any religion trying to tell you what that is, like a creation story, it's bullshit. So the globe gives you a creation story. The Big Bang Theory and evolution.
I was going to say, do you believe in the Big Bang Theory?
That's a creation story. I don't believe any creation stories.
Okay, so you just believe like Earth
it was
just came to be?
physics. No, physics proves that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. That's the first law of thermodynamics.
So how do you think we got it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that we came from something else. Because you can't have something from nothing.
Do you believe in like other life forms, like
here on Earth? Yeah, across the plane, not up there.
Like,
no. Up there doesn't exist.
Why do you think that?
Because what's up for, again, we have to be. We're in a contained system. The fact that we have air pressure here, 14.
Earth is limited.
Well, it's a contained system, but nobody knows the dimensions of it. So I don't know how big the Earth actually is. So the map that they're showing us, I would say that's a complete psyop. So the true dimensions of the Earth is unknown.
Do you think like all of Earth has been discovered?
No.
What?
No. No.
Can you explain to me how you think that?
You think one person is able to discover the whole Earth?
Well, people have traveled across the globe.
Yeah, okay, that's what you're told.
What do you mean that's what you're told?
Yeah, that's what you're told, that we traveled the whole Earth. Have you done it? Have you discovered the whole Earth?
I'd like to travel the world.
I doubt one person's able to do it though. You would just have to take other people's word that they discovered that part of the world and I discovered this part of the world.
Document their journey and document their travels, then that's irrefutable proof.
Sure. I mean, that doesn't mean you explore the whole Earth.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
When you've seen like people standing at the top of Mount Everest,
okay,
and you see like the Earth curving,
I wouldn't say it's curving. I would say that's the limit of perspective. I don't know if you knew the horizon's apparent. It's not a physical thing.
Well, horizon is like a horizontal thing.
Exactly. It should be. First of all, it should be curving.
But when you stand at the highest point on Earth that a human being can stand at, you see the Earth curving. So how do you think that doesn't work?
It's not the curve though. It's the limit of perspective. You have a limit to how far you can see in front of you.
Yeah, but when I look out there, I don't see things curving off. Everything's still straight.
Exactly, because it's not curving. Everything vanishes to a point. So if I hold this bottle away from you further and further, it's just gonna vanish. You're not gonna be able to see it forever.
Yeah.
Exactly. So everything vanishes like that.
It doesn't start to curve.
I mean, if you believe the Earth is a globe, you would say that it does curve, that the horizon is the curve.
So do you think if you climb to the top of Mount Everest and you like looked across as far as you can see, do you think it'd be flat?
It is.
Really?
Yeah. Even from 20 miles in the sky. Mount Everest is only about 5 miles.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah. There's footage of 20 miles in the sky with a perfectly level horizon without a GoPro.
You think so?
I know so.
Okay.
I would say you think that there's curvature.
I know.
Do you have any? Okay.
Do I have any proof?
Any proof of that?
Just, like millions of photographs, millions of like.
I would say
videos.
any photographs that show curvature are using a GoPro.
What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. Did you know that GoPros?
Yeah, GoPro's a fisheye lens.
Exactly, it warps horizontal lines.
I understand that. And when you film something, that doesn't.
This is what it looks like without a GoPro.
Yeah, but the thing to understand is that like that's just a set perspective.
This is a set perspective based on the camera.
That is as well.
This is a standard camera, so this is how you would see it with the naked eye.
Right, but it still curves.
Where does it curve?
In this picture, it shows it straight, but it still curves.
So it curves. So it curves front to right, but not left to right.
No,
So Earth is a cylinder.
Look.
Why doesn't it curve left to right?
I can't tell you from this photograph. This photograph does not.
Yeah, I'll tell you that the reason why we can't see past the horizon is because that's the limit. You're saying it's the curve, but
So
I would say that's a belief.
on like the flat plane, at some point, like you just fall off the Earth.
No. Earth is a contained system. So there's a solid barrier keeping the Earth air pressure from whatever's outside. I don't know what's outside. I don't make claims of what's outside of the Earth.
How
That's.
do you get to that barrier?
I don't know if you knew there's an Antarctic treaty that prevents people from exploring the South. Over 50 countries signed that treaty. Did you know about that treaty, the Antarctic treaty? You should look it up.
I did not.
Oh,
But
you should look it up.
I just think it's for like people's safety because like Antarctica is very like harsh conditions. It's freezing temperatures.
Let me ask you this: is there anything that you don't believe that comes from the mainstream?
What do you mean? Like that,
Any
that
information?
NASA provides,
No. That
or
anyone, for example, history and
about
is
like
there,
geography?
about physics, not even physics, just any claims that come from the mainstream. Is there anything that you don't believe?
No. Because
you believe everything that mainstream says.
Well, I do believe in God. Like I have some religious beliefs. Like I'm not atheist, but I believe in a God. I believe in a God.
Sure, same
I think
here.
God created Earth.
Right.
I think evolution did happen.
So you think creation and evolution happened together?
Like God did create Earth.
So he
Like,
fucked
Earth
up the
produced
first time and he's like, you know what? I'll just
No,
let them
humans
evolve
just-
to...
creatures did evolve, right?
Okay.
Because that's scientifically backed. You know what I
No,
mean?
it's not, but adaptation is scientifically backed, not
No,
evolution.
adaptation.
A species transforming to another species has never been proven. Adaptation has.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, 100%. Trust me. Well, you don't have to trust me, but
I'm sorry, I
don't
don't.
trust me. But that's the facts. Yeah, that evolution hasn't been
School?
proven.
Do you have a degree?
Does that make a difference?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
it does.
What difference does it make?
Well, if you were to major in science and to like explore these from like the highest like level of education you possibly could pursue, then you could look at that, all of it, and then still decide to choose your own opinions.
All right. So when it comes to science, are you familiar with the 3 branches of science?
Like biological science, like what?
Okay, so the natural science, which has to do with biology,
Yeah,
chemistry,
right.
physics,
Right.
natural physical stuff, right?
Yes.
Natural science. Then there's formal science, which is language-based, which is concepts, theories. It's only exists on paper, right?
Yeah, okay.
Then you have social sciences, which has to do with psychology,
Yeah,
social
econ,
engineering.
that's what I'm doing.
Exactly. The globe is conceptual. It's formal. In other words, it only exists on paper. Natural science, physics, water in specific, shows us that the Earth is a level plane.
Okay.
Again, the second law of thermodynamics debunks outer space. Again, a law cannot be debunked by a theory of gravity, for example. Gravity, it being a theory that pulls objects to the ground, is bullshit. Even Einstein debunked that theory.
That's great.
Have you heard of the
The counter theory, yeah.
yeah, the Einstein's theory of relativity,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Do you know what it claims?
What, E equals mc squared?
No. So basically, Einstein's theory of relativity, they needed a new explanation because objects don't accelerate towards the ground. So the bending and warping of space-time is the...
I fuck with New Jersey, bro. Go ahead.
No, yeah, but yeah, the bending and warping of space-time basically debunk the claim that objects get pulled to the Earth. So objects don't come down towards the Earth.
Have you had a college education, if you don't mind me asking?
I think that's irrelevant. I'm not going to answer it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's nice talk.
Yeah. All right. You have a good one.
Ready? Let's go.
Really? All right. So, very easy. Very easy. When we have water and air in a bottle, for example, like this, and it's at rest, would you agree water always fills the bottom and pushes the air to the top, regardless of the orientation? Look at that. So regardless of the orientation, water will always be in the bottom and air will always be on top.
Right.
I mean, that's a fact. So since we understand that fact about water and how it behaves, which one of these two is not in the correct orientation?
So this is water, correct?
Yeah, water's blue, my bad.
Okay, this one would be
You got it.
Correct.
And what would you say this one is not in the correct orientation?
because the orange is floating through the bottom and the water is up top, so it wouldn't really work. So oranges would usually float on top of the water. But
There you go. You got it, yeah. So I took it like that. Yeah. Basically, the water shows you the correct orientation all the time. Exactly. So the second one's even easier. Another thing about water, again, always finds its level. Again, regardless of orientation, it's always level.
Yeah.
So since we understand that fact about water as well, that always finds its level, which one of these two represents level?
I'm gonna say this one.
Yeah, that's the obvious one, yeah. So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this one.
Yeah.
You want to know how we were tricked? Do you believe the Earth is a ball?
Do I believe the Earth is a what?
A ball or a sphere in outer space?
I think it is spherical, but not to the point where it's like
So you think it's like an oblate spheroid, like
Yeah.
pear-shaped,
I
right?
think it's
Like
a-
like Neil deGrasse Tyson said.
circle, somewhat.
So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth. So they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius. they're supposedly going around it, right? So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,159 miles, and based on that radius, there has to be curvature every mile. So in the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature. And in 10 miles it should be 66 feet. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the water's going to show us that it's going to be parallel to anything horizontal or level, you know? But they're trying to tell us that that surface of water is bending 8 inches per mile square. You know what I'm saying? So this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe, a physical measurement of the Earth. You know? So if I was to ask you, what's the #1 proof or reason that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
Damn. I feel like there's a lot of evidence from like NASA that gives us images.
Okay.
Obviously, some people can think, oh yeah, the images can be corrupted or changed.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up images because I don't even have to make the claim that they're corrupt or anything. They actually admit to that. So they don't even call them photographs, they call them images. So these are a couple that they have. But these, again, they admit they make these in a computer. So these are CGI. So no real photograph of the Earth from space exists. And NASA admits to this, you know. But,
So the claim is like the Earth can be possibly flat?
well, I would say flat is kind of like a misrepresentation of what Earth is. I would say the Earth is a level plane. And the reason why it's level is because level means it has orientation. So we have orientation here on Earth, and water shows us that. And in order to have orientation, you need to have motion. So the Earth is in constant motion, going up against our feet. And that's what gravity is, basically. So this pulling force that objects get pulled to the ground doesn't exist. It's the Earth that's in constant motion. And that's what creates the pressure, you know, and what, you know, our weight, basically. You need something pressing against something else. You know?
That's crazy. That's something I'm definitely going to think about.
No, yeah. So here, let me give you my channel. I mean, do you have any questions before you go? I mean, you seem pretty open-minded, you know?
Not really. I mean, it's just stuff that people usually, like, they don't think about.
Exactly.
Everybody thinks someone's right, someone's wrong.
Yeah, but guess what? Physics is going to show us the correct answer, you know? Because people lie.
Yeah,
you know, people lie. Exactly. But physics doesn't. It's all about understanding how our reality works.
Yeah.
And that's through physics. And water, again, water's the key, you know? Water's always going to show us, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a good day, man.
Yeah, have a good one. What's up, man?
What's up?
So, 2 very easy questions about water and the orientation of water. So when we have air and water in a water bottle like this, would you agree that water always goes to the bottom and air always gets pushed to the top?
Yeah.
Regardless of the orientation?
Yeah.
Right? That's fact.
Yeah.
So since we understand that fact about water, you know, which one of these 2 is not in the correct orientation?
This one.
You got it. May I ask you why you think it's this one?
Because the water's on the top instead of the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. So this next one's even easier. So another thing about water is that it always finds its level. Again, regardless of the orientation, you know, it always evens out, you could say. So since we understand that fact about water as well, which one of these 2 represents level as we know it?
Could be this one.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Very easy. So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you guys, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this one.
Yeah.
You guys want to know how we were tricked?
How?
Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they need to know the radius of orbit, so they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us it's 3,159 miles, which means there has to be curvature every mile, and every mile has to increase because they're claiming it's a curve. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across, for example, to physically measure for this curvature, the water's going to show us that it's going to be parallel to anything level of other, right? But they're trying to tell us that the surface of water at a lake is bending 8 inches per mile square.
Yeah.
But, you know, the physics of water would debunk that, you know? So this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe. So if I was to ask you guys, what's the #1 proof that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball? Satellite images?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you brought those up because they actually don't call them photographs, they actually call them images, and the reason why is because they're Photoshop, you know, but they don't say Photoshop, they call them composites. So they admit to make these in a computer. So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth is through CGI images like this, or through GoPro cameras with a fisheye lens that warp horizontal lines like this.
Okay.
You know, if we actually use a standard camera and send it up really high, this is what the horizon actually looks like.
Yeah.
How would you describe the horizon?
It's flat.
right?
It's
horizontal, right?
Yeah,
I would
horizontal.
say that's where the word comes from, horizon.
Yeah.
So is there a possibility, that we have been lied to about what the Earth actually is, or are you guys 100% convinced that it's a ball?
I mean, it could be a lie.
Okay, you're open to the, I'm not going to be able to convince you.
I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really know.
All right, well, here, let me give you my channel, because it is being censored, and part of the reason why I'm out here is because, this is being suppressed, so check it out, man.
For sure.
All right, man, you guys have a good one. All right. All right, let's see if I could get through this video, because I did have another video I wanted to go over, but here, let me see. Let's see if I could finish this one at least, because there is something that I wanted to highlight from this video. So I'll go ahead and finish it.
From it. And you're supposed to, see if you can read all the letters, and they'll tell you how good or how bad your vision is, right? And this document is talking about the size of the letters that you need to draw and the gaps in between them, so that, you can draw signs that are clearly visible. And it depends on the distance and the observer's visual acuity. So it's trying to basically measure visual acuity, yeah? And if I go back to the PowerPoint, then one of the important topics in here is the fact that your retina is a curved surface, yeah? And if I'm an eye looking at a chart on the wall, then the question that is asked is, or the definition of a visual angle is this angle here that basically encompasses the whole object. So the object starts at A, it finishes at B. You can think of it as one of these eye charts hanging on the wall. You're at a distance D from it, which might be 15 feet, let's just say, to take an example. And then the question is, what is the angle subtended at the eye from that object, AB? Yeah? And you can work out that angle. On the next slide, I'll just show how it's done. The visual angle is basically the height of the object, or the width of the object if you were looking at something horizontally, but let's assume it's still an eye chart. It's the height of the object divided by the distance from it gives you the visual angle in radians, yeah? And again, I'm using this concept of radians without specifically defining it, but the radians is a way of intrinsically measuring based on the radius of a circle. So instead of using degrees and minutes, you basically use the radius of the circle to measure how far you are around it. So if you like, it's something different to degrees and minutes, and it's called radians, yeah? So this is clear. The visual angle subtended at your eye depends on the size of the object and the distance you are from.
I'm gonna pause it because there's a trailer passing by. It's getting to the main point of the video, that's why. For those of you that are watching it and, or watching the replay of it, I want to make sure that you guys can hear what's being explained. Because I think it's huge when you're, talking about this topic, to understand how the globe Earth was extrapolated from our vision, And this is a really good explanation of that.
Yeah, and if you want to convert from radians to degrees, there's a way to do that, which I'll just follow the bouncing ball. For those who want to follow along, it basically turns out to be the visual angle in minutes is 3438 times the size of the object divided by the viewing distance. Yeah. So this magic number 3438 pops up again in visual acuity. Visual acuity being how far can I actually see before things are no longer discernible to me? So what's the limits of my vision, basically? And this formula, just to give everybody an example, would mean...
So yeah, he's about to explain it, but basically with them, it's basically like the magic number for objects to disappear, in your field of view, the 3438. It's funny because, for example, if this was, for example, a foot high, right? A foot high. And he's about to explain it too, but I'll just give a quick explanation. If this was a foot high, and I moved this 3,438 feet away from me, in other words, 3,438 times the height, which is 1 feet, which will be 3,438 feet, that's where this object will no longer be perceivable by our vision. It will disappear at that distance of 3,438 times the size of the object divided by the distance. So, and ironically, that's the radius of the Earth in nautical miles, which is nautical miles are used in celestial navigation, which tells you that the whole globe Earth model, the miles that supposedly make up the model, is literally just based on the angle of our eye and our perspective of how things appear to drop. So the whole globe Earth model, 24,901 mile circumference of the Earth, is a completely made up number, basically. You know, I think people need to realize that, because that means that the flat Earth map, the disk map they fucking show, is actually a lie too. Because that flat Earth map disk, it's the globe opened up. It's still using the same circumference lines, the same longitude and latitude lines. It's using the same geometry, which wasn't even a physical geometry. It's based on perspective, based on how things appear to drop in our field of view. That's where the globe Earth gets its numbers from. So it's not an actual measurement. So the fact that the flat earthers are using this map, it's fucking ridiculous, you know? It's crazy, you know? I just thought it was something to highlight, because again, if the globe Earth dimensions are completely made up, which they are, that means any flat Earth map that even looks close to the globe is bullshit as well, you know, by default, because it was not a tangible measurement.
That if you had a coin of 1 inch of diameter and you put it at 3,438 inches from you, which is 286 feet, or 95 yards, or 87 meters, right? Then the visual angle of that coin will be 1 minute. And basically at 1 minute, Dale, that's where your visual discernment stops. Yeah. So some people can go a bit lower, right? Depends on age and lighting and, you know, various conditions. So this isn't exact, but basically if something is less than 1 arc minute, then you can't see it anymore. And anybody can try this, you know. Yeah. Take a coin, put it at 87 meters, and see if you can see it still. Yeah. Yeah. Or take a dartboard, you know, that could be 1 meter. You would then have to go back 3,400.
Hey, hi. So 2 very easy elementary level multiple choice. I want to see if you guys get at least one. Yeah, okay. Very easy. So when we have air and water in a bottle like this, for example, and it's at rest, the water will always be in the bottom, and the air will always get pushed to the top, regardless of the orientation. Right. You know, would you guys agree? That's fact. You know, basic physics. So since we understand that fact about water, which one of these two is not in the correct orientation? The water is blue, by the way, just to make it easy.
Oh, can I touch it?
Yeah, you can touch them. Which one is not in the correct orientation?
I feel like it's this one, but he's gonna say this one.
Wait, is this like, what is it?
It's a water bottle.
It's like a water bottle. Yeah, but the water is just blue, basically.
It's just the water's blue with a cap. Which one's wrong?
Which one is not in the correct orientation, basically? Which one's wrong, I guess you could say.
This one, right?
Okay. Yeah, you got it. Why do you say that one?
Because the water's on top.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that easy, literally.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I took it like this. Yeah, very easy. I mean, that's what water does. That's why rain falls and air bubbles rise in water. You know, that's basic physics.
I know.
No. I'll get to that now. But another thing about water is that it always finds its level. Again, regardless of the orientation, you know, water always levels out. You know, that's another fact. So since we understand that fact about water as well, which one of these two represents level as we know it? When we're looking at the water, which one represents level as we know it?
What is even a difference?
If you're looking at the water,
We're looking at the water.
which one represents a level?
It would be this one because you're always the same.
Exactly, yeah. It's that easy. Okay. So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe all of you, have been tricked to believing that this is what level means, even though we know it's this one. You guys want to know how we were tricked?
Yeah.
You guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah.
right? A sphere, right? So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they need to know the radius of orbit if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,159 miles, which means there has to be curvature every mile. And then the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the water's going to show us that it's going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it. But they're trying to tell us that that water's bending the surface of water 8 inches per mile squared. So this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe, a physical measurement of the Earth. You know? So if I was to ask you guys, what's the #1 proof that makes you believe that the Earth is a ball?
Water.
I mean, water shows us that it's level. That's what water does. You know? I mean, it's fine if that's what you just were told, for example, and you just believe it. That's pretty honest. Because the majority of us were just told that when we were 5 years old, for example, and going to the classroom. But, I mean, there's nothing that comes into your mind. I mean, some people would say images, for example, of the Earth.
Yeah, I would say images too.
Yeah, so images, they don't call them photographs, they actually call them images, and the reason why is because they're actually photoshopped. But they don't say they're photoshopped, they call them composites. So, but they still admit they make them in a computer, so they're CGI. So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth is through CGI images like this. These are official NASA.gov images, or through GoPro cameras that have a a fisheye lens, for example, that warps horizontal lines, the wide angle. So that's the only place you're ever going to see curvature. You know, in actuality, in reality, you know, water's always level.
I've seen these before.
Yeah, I bet. So this is what the horizon actually looks like with a standard camera. So if you were looking at it with the naked eye, this is what it looks like, for example. How would you describe the horizon? I mean, geometrically. I mean, yeah, it's cloudy because you're above the clouds.
Like
horizontal?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that's where the word horizon comes from, you know, horizontal, which again means level. You know what I'm saying? So no curve. So let me ask you guys this. Do you think there's a possibility that we have been lied to on a mass scale about our existence in this place? Or are you guys 100% convinced that it's a ball?
It's a what?
Are you guys 100% convinced that, or are you guys open to that maybe we have been lied to?
I believe it's a ball.
You're 100% convinced it's a ball? What convinces you? So if I showed you an image, for example, of me flying, would you believe I could fly? What if I showed you a video of me flying? So a video and pictures wouldn't be enough to convince you, right? Especially if it defies physics, right?
Right.
But you believe these images, even though they defy physics as well.
Well, I would say because in my culture we also believe that the Earth is round.
What culture is that? Oh, Muslim. Well, I would say the globe Earth, the heliocentric model, is like a religion.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm nothing against religion, but our religions are based off of faith, right? Would you agree?
Right.
It's not, religions are not scientific, right? They're just faith-based. The heliocentric model is the same thing. It's not scientific.
Right.
It's faith-based. Because, again, another thing about religions is that they all give us a creation story, right? And what is the globe? They give us a creation story with a big bang and evolution, right? So any religion, again, anybody claiming to know how this place was created is just a religion, basically.
Right.
Which, again, I respect people's beliefs, but you can't physically prove them, you know? You know, the fact is, you know, the first law of thermodynamics does prove that this place was created. Why? Because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It only transforms from one form to another. So this place was created, you know. That's another reason why they kind of lie to us, to just make us believe that we came from nothing and we evolved from monkeys, right? But this is intelligently designed. So, you know, there is purpose to our existence in the Earth.
Do you believe it's round?
No, I don't have beliefs. I know, either I know something or I don't. And I know that water doesn't bend on the surface.
So, what do you think? Flat or round?
So I would say level, because flat, I would say, is just the word that's being used right now in the mainstream to kind of discredit this. But the correct term is level. And
So
the reason,
you think we're like in a straight line?
yeah, oh yeah. So the Earth is a contained system. So what's at the extremities? What does this container look like? I don't know. I think maybe the military have found the container of the Earth, but I think that's where they, you know, I think that's when they created NASA and they started telling lies about what's outside, you know. But I don't know what's outside of the Earth. People that claim to know what's outside of the Earth, again, it's just a religion. Exactly, faith-based. Exactly.
Interesting. I've
Yeah.
never met anyone
Who-
who was like.
Wait,
So
so
there-
you think like every like okay, so like let's say there's like the contents, right? You think like everything is level?
Yeah, so I'm gonna show you a map, which I think it's part of the deception as well, because the dimensions of this ball Earth haven't physically been measured. So the dimensions of this is again theoretical. They didn't physically take a plane and measure the distance of the equator. They didn't do that. You know, it's all based on assumptions. So the fact that they're pushing this map as well, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it, by the way. This one. right? Yeah. So this is a psyop as well. Why? Because this is literally taking the same numbers from this, the equator, the number 24,101 miles, and they're just making it into a flat plane. Which, again, what does the Earth actually look like? It's not neither of these. The fact is, I don't know. You know what the Earth actually looks like.
Anybody could tell you anything.
Exactly. How do you verify it? Think about it. How do you verify that they're telling you the truth? Especially if it's coming from government, which it's known to lie about everything. You know what I'm saying? You guys don't trust the government, do you? So, hypothetically, if this was true, if we were being lied to, would that be something important to look into? To actually find out for yourself?
So.
Yeah, right?
I think so.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that it's not important, and I would say that those people are being intellectually lazy because they don't want to admit to themselves that they've actually been lied to.
Yeah.
But if this was true, this would be the biggest lie on earth, if you ask me. Could you think of a bigger lie? No. The only bigger lie, in my opinion, that's bigger than the shape of the earth is the lie that objects accelerate down in free fall.
Yeah.
So based on that idea that supposedly objects accelerate down, that's where the whole idea of gravity came in, the theory of, and then the whole theory of outer space and orbits. It's all based on the theory that objects accelerate down. But yeah,
That's interesting.
it's just ideology,
Do
basically.
you think every planet is flat?
Oh, so the stars, right? You're talking about the stars? So this is what the stars actually look like. Again, nobody knows what's outside or what the sky actually is, but this is what the stars look like. So nobody knows what they actually are. I don't know if you knew, but we have constellations, right? Because they're constant, meaning that they always reset every year. They're constant, you know, it's in the name. And in other words, if we were shooting through space, spinning on a ball, right? Every night sky should be different than the night before. It should be parallax, in other words. But the fact that we don't have parallax proves that we're not shooting through space and spinning. You know. And then this is what the planets look
What
like.
about the planets? I was
Yeah,
gonna ask.
yeah. So it's just like the stars. The only reason why they're called planets is because the word planet means wandering stars.
Yeah.
So just like these are constant, these have their own unique paths. So they're detached from the rest of this, you could say. But there's just lights in the sky that rotate above. Nobody really knows what they are.
So were you guys smarter than a fifth grader?
Yeah, they actually got
we
both
are.
of them right.
Oh.
Yeah, they got both of them right. Here,
Are
you
you
could.
smarter than a fifth grader?
We'll find out.
Here, let me.
Thank you.
Yeah, here, let me give you guys a flyer. You guys can share, and maybe you guys will see yourself there.
Thank you.
All right.
You're being very large.
So let's get started with the first one. So it has to do with the orientation of water. So very easy. So water, when we have water and air in a bottle like this and it's at rest, the water will always be in the bottom and the air will always get pushed to the top, regardless of the orientation of the bottle. That's a fact, you know? Since we understand that fact about water, right? Which one of these two is not in the correct orientation? In other words, which one is not correct? How I'm showing them to you. The water is blue, by the way. Just to make it easier to see. Yeah, with food coloring. There you go.
Maybe this one's flipped over. But then this one could also just be like normal. This could just be...
So it's one that's upside down, you could say, like you said, flipped over.
Yeah.
Would you say it's number 2?
Okay, well no, there's water stains right here. This one, yeah, they both have water stains.
Yeah.
This one's empty. Okay. What are you thinking?
Well, what's the
Which one?
question?
Yeah, which one is not in the correct orientation?
Oh, okay.
So one is in the correct orientation. In other words, if we understand water is always in the bottom and the air gets always, gets pushed to the top.
This could be upside down.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
This is the correct one.
Okay. Which one? Do you think this one's upside down? This is the
No,
correct one,
this-
yeah.
yeah,
This is
this
the one
one's-
upside. Yeah, you got it. And it's because again the water can't stick to the top like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you guys got it. Easy. So the second one even easier. So another thing about water, it always finds its level. Again, regardless of the orientation, water always levels out. It always shows you, the level. So since we understand that fact about water as well, which one of these two represents level? That's what
Represents what?
level. Which one represents level? Here,
It can be because like the water's going down.
you think that means level?
What's that? These are all the same distance, right?
Yeah, that's the distance.
I want to answer bottom
I'm gonna say this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go this way.
Yeah, that's the obvious one. The real reason I do this though is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you guys, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this one. You guys want to know how we were tricked?
Sure.
What?
Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they need to know the radius of orbit if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles, which gives us a circumference of 24,101, which means there has to be curvature every mile. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature, of a dip, in other words. But if we went to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the water's going to show us that it's going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it. But they're trying to tell us that the surface of water on a lake is bending 8 inches per mile squared. But physics shows us that that's bullshit. So this will be the #1 experiment to debunk the globe, physical measurement. So if I was to ask you guys,
sorry to cut you off, but wouldn't this logic be like saying like, oh, my shoe would be bent like this,
right?
Because it's the Earth is like round.
Okay, so you're saying it's gravity, the force of gravity.
No,
bending?
I mean
I don't know what you're saying.
So like this is leveled because the Earth is so big, right? So
right. Oh, okay.
So there's no reason why it should start going down slowly, right?
I mean, if it's curving, it should.
Yeah, but like if it's curving like this, that means like it's like a really small like surface,
Well, that's
like,
the dimensions that they tell us. There's a reason why they don't tell us the Earth curve calculator, because again, when you put it into perspective, it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna start to look a bit ridiculous. Like, wait a minute, it can't be that much curvature, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it is. That's the numbers they're giving. But here's the thing: they could say that the Earth is twice the size they're telling us. In other words, 50,000 miles in circumference. Guess what? Half of this curvature should still be measurable. But the fact is that water doesn't even bend an inch, especially when it's at rest. When you look at a lake, there's a reason why it completely reflects the mountains or because the water is perfectly still and level. If it was bending, then the image, the reflection of will be warped. But again, physics of water shows us that the Earth is not a ball. So, what's the #1 proof that convinces you that it's a ball? Let me ask.
Probably satellite images.
Okay, images.
I mean,
that's basically like the #1 proof that most people bring up, by the way. But okay, what else?
I mean, if gravity's focused on one point, it's gonna morph as close as a sphere can get. Because it's not always constant. Okay.
So I don't know if you knew, but the theory of gravity, the Newton's theory of gravity of mass attracting mass, in other words, object being pulled to the ground, has actually been debunked. There's a reason why they came up with Einstein's new theory of relativity, which is the modern theory of relativity, which basically gives an explanation that it's actually the Earth that's in constant motion. Because again, physics shows that objects don't go towards the ground. It's the ground that's coming up to the object. So the bending and warping of space-time, Einstein's theory of relativity, is there just as a word salad explanation to just give people an explanation that, that objects don't go down. But if the Earth was a globe and it's the Earth coming up to object, that would mean the Earth has to be expanding. Because if you drop something here in America and you drop something in Australia, how is it that the Earth is coming to the object and it's not the object coming to the ground? Again, that's where they come up with the bending and warping of space-time, which again is just bullshit to make you believe in this. The fact is, the Earth is a level plane that's in constant motion. So the Earth is moving up, pressing up against our feet right now, basically. So when you release something, it's the Earth that's coming in contact with it. It's not this that's accelerating now. So this whole theory of gravity, again, is just a theory to make people believe in this or this, basically. So if I showed you guys an image of me flying, would you guys believe I could fly?
If you had a video, possibly.
If I showed you a video of me flying, you'll believe it? I could show you a picture of a lot of people flying on YouTube. You believe they could fly? I would say that defies the laws of physics. What if I showed you that I could walk through walls? A video. No, a video. I can't. I'll say that I can't do it in person because whatever reason. But if I showed you a video, would you believe me that I could walk through walls, walk through matter? Why not? That defies physics, right? Yeah. Any claims that people make that defy physics, we know this because magicians try to fool us all the time, right? We know those are tricks. But these mathematicians, I would call them mathematicians, are trying to trick us to making us believe that water bends. But it doesn't. Again, these images defy the laws of physics, just like me flying, for example, or me walking through walls. So physics proves that the Earth is not a ball. Reality. So before you guys go, these are images of the horizon without a GoPro camera, by the way. How would you guys describe the horizon?
I mean, Earth is so big, so it just looks.
Okay. I would say it's horizontal, and I would say that's where the word horizon comes from the word horizontal. So the only place you're ever going to see curvature of the Earth, again, is through GoPro cameras that warp horizontal lines like this with the wide angle. or through CGI images like this. You know, NASA and any other space agency admits that these are all basically CGI composites made in a computer. So no genuine photograph of the Earth from space exists. Part of the reason why is because space itself doesn't even exist. So what's outside of the Earth is just a constant. So are you familiar with entropy? Have you heard of entropy? So it's the second law of thermodynamics, which basically shows that high pressure will always move to a lower pressure unless you have a solid barrier. So it's the same reason why you're able to put air in your tire and the air stays in there, because you have a solid rubber, you know, keeping the air in. So they're trying to claim that outer space is a negative pressure next to Earth's pressure without a solid barrier, which again, that defies physics. So anybody claiming to know what's outside of the Earth is just ideas, ideology. So the Earth is a contained system. What does this container look like? I don't know. Nobody knows. So that's part of the control that they're trying to keep people from finding out what the space actually is. So that's why I'm out here trying to spread awareness, because this is the #1 censored topic online, by the way. So in the way they're censoring it is they're not removing this information from the internet, they're just demoting it. And they just promote these pseudoscientists that, again, just focus on stories about the sky.
Yeah.
And
you guys can have to check out some stuff.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
You guys gotta go here. Check my channel, you guys can check it out. And yeah, thanks for the chat.
Peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to fire.
Oh,
I wanna see, 'cause
definitely. Yeah.
I just want to learn more about your viewpoint.
Oh,
because
definitely.
I was listening and I was like, dang, I never really thought about that.
Yeah,
before.
nobody does. And it's because the mainstream is just keeping people distracted with childish name calling, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, it's pretty, yeah. Yeah, no problem, man. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
So, I have 2 very easy multiple choice. You guys want to give it a shot?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, all right. So they have to do with the orientation of water. So when we have air and water in a bottle like this, for example, and the bottle's at rest, water will always fill the bottom and push the air to the top, regardless of the orientation of the bottle. Water will always go to the bottom and the air will always get pushed to the top. You know, that's a fact, right? So since we understand that fact about water and how it behaves, which one of these 2 is not in the correct orientation?
Upside down.
Yeah, this
Which,
one.
okay, this one's not in the correct. Okay, why do you think is this one?
I mean, if this looks like air, I think that's...
Yeah, the water's actually blue. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, you got it. Yeah, because obviously the air, you know, can be in the bottom, can sustain the water, right?
Yeah.
So they actually took it like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got it. That's pretty easy. So this next one is even easier. Another thing about water is that it always finds its level, especially when it's at rest. Again, I could tilt the bottle, but water always remains level. You know.
Yeah.
So since we understand that fact about water as well, what's another word for level, by the way? We had to use a different word.
Flat.
I mean, horizontal will be the number, the one word definition.
Yeah.
You know? So, again, which one of these 2 represents level as we know it? A or B? Hey, that's obvious, right? So the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you guys, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this. You guys want to know how we were tricked?
Sure.
You guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? So NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth. So they claim to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us it's 3,959 miles, which means there has to be curvature every mile, and every mile it increases. Because they're claiming it's a curve and not a slope, right? So in the first mile, there's an 8-inch drop, second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of curvature. Meaning, if we actually went out to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the water's gonna show us that it's gonna be parallel or level, you know, to anything horizontal above it, you know? And they're trying to tell us that the water's bending 8 inches per mile squared. But we all know that, okay, so if I was, what proof do you have that the surface of water of the
You can
Earth
go to the
bends?
fucking lake and look at it.
So you think the surface of a lake bends? So if we were to physically measure?
If it's multiple miles across and you
Yeah.
look at the lake, it'll bend over. You can't see.
Oh, so you're saying the horizon is the curve?
Flat, if you're flat down, looking at the lake,
Yeah.
you won't be able to see
Yeah.
all the way through.
Okay.
It'll
So
bend
if I
down.
was to hold this bottle in front of you and then move it away from you, will you be able to see it forever? Or it will eventually disappear?
It'll eventually disappear.
Yeah, so we do have a limit to perspective. And I don't know if you knew, the horizon is that limit of perspective. So in other words, the horizon is not a physical thing, it's an apparent thing. So because when you increase your, again, when you get very low, the horizon is very close because the limit of perspective, again, you're closer to the ground. The higher you elevate, the more you increase your angle of view and the further you're able to see in front of you. So real quick, it's a little chart just to show that. For example, like when we're looking at train tracks, are the train tracks coming together or does it just look like that? It just looks like that. We know the train tracks are parallel. But again, because we have a limit to perspective, everything shrinks to a point. That's why that happens. So when we're observing a lake, for example, we'll say this red line represents the lake or the ground. If we was to extend this line, for example, 3 miles or however far, it's gonna appear to rise in our field of view. So this arc represents our eyeball, for example. If we extend a straight line in front of you, it only appears to rise. And then once it rises to your eye line, that's the horizon. The horizon is apparent.
You're saying that the Earth is flat.
It's not flat, it's level. Flat is just a word that's being used right now to misrepresent this, and basically that's just the way that they're kind of censoring this, kind of just ridicule, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, so do you think that it is
No, it's not a sphere.
You think it's just a flat?
It's a level plane.
It's just a level plane?
It's a level plane, and nobody knows how far it extends. I don't know if you knew the Antarctic Treaty. Have you heard of the Antarctic Treaty?
No.
So, the Antarctic Treaty, basically, if the South exists, like the Antarctica, like it's a ring around, if it exists. Again, I don't know if it does or doesn't, or what exactly it is, that sheet of ice. If it does exist, it's a sheet around the Earth, basically a sheet of ice. And anybody that gets close to the south, basically 66 degrees south, you're not allowed, basically.
I've heard of that,
yeah. There you go. So we're not allowed to independently explore what's beyond the horizon, for example. You know, so I think the Earth is a contained system because we have air pressure here. Without a container, you can't have air pressure. So the fact that we have air pressure.
What is your what are your thoughts on gravity too? Then, like, do you think it's just all around the Earth and it's just
so gravity? I don't know if you knew, they claim that gravity is a pulling force, right? That's Newton's theory of gravity.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Einstein's new theory of relativity? Or the new theory of gravity, basically?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
So the reason they came up with that theory, Einstein's new theory, was because physics proves, the laws of motion proves that objects don't accelerate down. So this magical imaginary force that grabs this object and pulls it down doesn't exist. So Einstein's theory of relativity is there to explain the other explanation, which is that the Earth is actually coming up to the object. So have you heard of the bending and warping of space-time?
No, you pull up on the Earth, and the Earth also pulls down at you.
Yeah. So have you heard of the bending and warping of space-time, though, right? That's Einstein's claim. You never heard of the bending and warping of space-time?
No.
Okay, so that's basically the foundation of Einstein's theory, and it's basically just a word-salad explanation that nobody really understands to explain away that the Earth is actually in constant motion, and that objects don't accelerate down. But if you're looking at that from a globe perspective, that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding in all directions. If the object's not coming towards the Earth and it's the Earth coming towards the object, that wouldn't make sense from a globe.
Wait, how does that work though? Then, like, so if the Earth is coming to me, so like if I jump up, how does the Earth come to me but not to him?
Well, he's already in contact with everyone. That's why you have weight. Something needs to.
The Earth's mass is so
the Earth
big.
is constantly moving up.
Yeah, it's in constant motion.
Like the mass of the Earth
That's
is
what
just
gravity
so big.
is.
It's so big that it barely moves at all. Like
there you go. Okay, you got a good idea of it. It could be moving like 1,000 miles an hour. Well, nobody knows what the speed is, but it's a constant speed. Why? Because we have constant weight. If the Earth was like getting faster, our weight will be increasing as well. Because weight is the equal and opposite reaction to pressure, which is something pressing on something else. So that's how you measure pressure. You know, even air pressure, it's measured by psi. You know.
So what is that, like how the Earth is moving?
So the Earth is...
How does the Earth move?
Okay, that's a good question that a lot of people are asking. Since we don't know what's outside of the Earth, nobody knows how the Earth is moving, basically.
So I thought...
So the Earth is a level contained system. Yeah, outer space, I don't make claims about what's outside of the Earth. So all these claims about galaxies and other planets and all that, that's just ideology. That's just religion, if you ask me. You know? So nobody knows what's outside of the Earth. That's the fact, you know. And people that say, "Oh, what are the stars?" Right?
You can look up in the fucking sky at night and see the stars.
This is what you see. They're just constellations because they're constant. It's just a map that whatever created this place put that map above us so that we can navigate this place. I don't know if you knew, these are constant. You know, that's why they're called constellations, right? And then these are the planets. And the reason why they're called planets is because these are
that looks like you took a picture of a fucking zoomed in blade of grass, dude.
Right? That's what the stars look like. And this is what they show us, though. This is the CGI Mars, but this is what Mars actually looks like. It's just a twinkling light. Nobody knows what it is. You know, for all we know, I mean, it's not even solid. It's just a light. You know, what
do you think about the moon then?
That's another thing. I don't know what it is. It's a circle, obviously, in the sky. But I wouldn't say it's a sphere, though. That's what they claim it is, right? And they claim that it's 250,000 miles away from us and all this bullshit. But nobody knows the true distance or size of the moon or what it actually is. But I don't know if you guys knew the moon throws a cold light, which is opposite of the sun, which throws a warm light. So that's something I think a lot of people know.
What about like time zones too?
Okay, yeah. So time zones has to do with the movement of the sun. So time is just a concept based on the movement of the sun.
So and does the sun? Is the sun? What is the sun?
So nobody knows. Again, they tell us that it's 400,000 miles in circumference, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's 93 million miles away, right?
Yeah.
The fact is, again, nobody knows the exact size of the sun or what it actually is. But if we trace back corpuscular rays, like this, for example, rays that come in through the clouds, show us that the sun is actually a very small local sun. So time zones would just be because when it's noon, the sun's straight above you, right? When it's noon, you're the sun. So when it's noon, for example, in New York, the sun is right above them. So again, the sun is a spotlight that just goes over the earth like this. It's very small compared to the earth. So it's the opposite of what they're telling us. So they're telling us that the sun is huge and the earth is very tiny. It's the other way around. The earth is huge and the sun is very tiny, and it's just a spotlight that goes above.
But wouldn't that just have to do with perspective then, like what you were talking about earlier with the railroads?
Yeah.
These rays of light are just going to keep going out farther and farther. So how do you know it's that close?
Because we have sunspots again that should not be possible like this when it's right above the clouds.
This is a sun.
Yeah.
This is like the
sunspot.
sun.
This is the sun right here.
You're saying how like everything's CGI, but like how do you know that's not CGI?
You will have to send your own camera up to verify, right? But I don't need to do that if I can measure water here on Earth. Water is the number one proof. All of these are just, I'm just trying to like entertain the conversation a bit, but water is the number one proof if you really want to prove it.
Also, I kind of wanted to go back to this too.
Sure.
So you said this chart right here.
Yeah, this is the exact curvature formula.
You think so?
That Earth is flat.
Well, level.
Level, not flat.
Yeah, flat
it's a horizontal
Here, you can check it
plane.
out. These are the 6 main proofs. You can check it out. Yeah.
So, over the span of 1 mile, it would drop 2 feet. That's what this says right here?
Yeah, and then in the next mile it drops 6 feet. So it keeps increasing because if it didn't, it would just be a slope.
And you got that from?
From the radius of the Earth, based on what they're telling
us. Sorry, I'm trying. Can I pick this up and look at this?
Yeah, definitely. There's a simpler formula. It's actually in the flyer. You guys are familiar with the Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus B squared equals C squared? Mm-hmm. So this formula, I made this one myself. It's basically measuring the circumference of the Earth using that formula, and it's basically the same for the first 300 miles. It's over 99% accurate.
Okay.
So again, based on the radius of the Earth, that's...
This seems crazy to me. This doesn't it doesn't seem to scale with like
exactly. There's a reason why they don't tell us the exact numbers. They only say it's a ball and that's it. There's a reason why they don't show us this in school. Let me ask you guys this. Is there a possibility in your guys' mind that maybe we have been lied to about the shape of the Earth and our existence? Or are you guys 100% convinced that it's a ball?
I swing both ways, honestly.
Okay, I'm glad. You're in the middle. That's good.
I don't know. I would need to...
I mean, I don't expect you to accept this right now. I'm just
think about all the stuff the government has been lying to us.
Exactly.
Bro, think about it, bro.
NASA, I don't know if you knew, NASA's it's an extension of the military.
Exactly.
Yeah. In the military, how many secret operations do they hold and do? And hypothetically, if this was true, would that be something important to know?
No, not really, honestly. It wouldn't really affect my life.
I have some people try say that it doesn't matter and stuff, and in my head it's like, okay, if this doesn't matter, what does? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in my opinion, this is the biggest lie on Earth. Literally, I cannot think of a bigger lie.
This 3,959, is this from the center of the Earth, or that's from the center of the Earth?
That's from the center. That's what they
to
claim.
the Earth crust.
Yeah. So this is the way they redefine level, because they say that level means curve, but the way they redefine level is equal distance from the center to the outer circumference of the sphere, right? That's what level means, right? But that's funny because that contradicts their claim of an oblate spheroid, right? They claim that Earth is like pear-shaped, right? It's not a perfect sphere. right? That contradicts their claim of level, which is equal distance from the center to the outer, which will make a perfect circle. So even in their model, water is not even level.
Well, the Earth can't be a perfect circle because
It's not a perfect circle. It's like,
that's what I'm saying. So you're saying
elliptical. Like,
that's what they say. Yeah, like pear shape. It's
Yeah.
it's chubbier from the bottom than the top, right? That's what they say. But again, that would mean that water level, it's at different curves at different places on Earth. So it's not even a constant curve, you know, by their own definition, which will be equal distance from the center to the outer circumference. You know, what do you call that device that you make circles with? That you put a point in the center.
I can't remember. What it's
Yeah,
called.
so basically that's what they're redefining as level. So you put that, you move it 4 inches out, and then you make a circle. 4 inches equal from this, you know, that makes a perfect circle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the heliocentric model, the ball Earth, has contradictions left, right, and center. You know, once you look into this, everything is just made up. All the numbers from the globe are made up. Because again, water shows us, you know, it's the number one proof. So have you guys heard of the term sea level?
yeah.
Yeah, right. Level meaning horizontal. You know, again, they try to redefine level, but it only exists on paper. You know, physics shows otherwise. So they try to call flat earthers science deniers and all this bullshit. Like again, they're just trying to flip the script. They're the science deniers, like the heliocentric model, the people that push that.
Okay, well, what about the people that have traveled all the way around the globe?
Right. So circumnavigation is just circles around a plane, around a center point. So I'll show you this map. Again, this is a psyop as well, because nobody knows the dimensions of the Earth. But North Pole will be the center point. So east and west will just be circles. And that's why people have to autocorrect when they go east. You know, eventually they're going off route, they have to autocorrect every time, because north will just be a center point. And east and west will just be circles around that point. And south, again, will just be away from the center, which will be this ice wall or Antarctica, right? A lot of people think that the reason they don't let us explore out here is because maybe we'll find another Earth pond over here. There could be other civilizations, you know, that probably don't even use money, if you ask me. I think money is one of the ways we're being enslaved. The fact that we need to use money. I think money should have been a commodity only. You know, people that don't want to do things for themselves, right? But the fact that we're all forced to use money, it's part of the way how we're being controlled, basically.
This is the North Pole. Right
This will be
here.
the North Pole. Again,
And that's the center.
That'd be
of
the
okay.
Earth. Yeah.
So how?
Well,
So
can you
the
explain, like,
distance from
seasons and
here to
stuff?
here.
Like, how does seasons
Hold on. Let me ask my question. The distance from here to here. This is like, that's Japan right there, or somewhere right
something
here,
like that,
and this
yeah.
is California. So where we are.
Right.
This is so short compared to, like, look at how far South America to Australia is. So how come when I take a plane from California to Japan, how come the, like, hours-wise flight isn't so much shorter than the flight it would take from South America to Australia?
Okay, I'm glad you brought these 2 points up, because I was going to bring that up right now.
Yeah.
So on a globe, Australia and South America are pretty much almost next to each other, because it starts to come, you know, on a ball. Right?
Yeah.
Let me just bring it out for reference. Right? Where's what's right here? Whatever. Point being is South America will be down here, and Australia will be down here. So we are a very short route, right? I don't know if you knew this, but again, this is just stories, which again, I go with physics, but I'll just tell you this. A lot of people that book a flight from South America to Australia, there's no flight that exists directly from there. So in other words, they always stop in North America. And then excuse is they stop for fuel. So on a globe, it looks like they're going up, and then they're going back down. But in reality, they're just going straight. And they just make a stop here, and then just keep going. So again, on a globe, it just looks like they're going up, and then they're going back down. That direct flight, that short path doesn't exist. And again, when all these little things start to come together, basically, and it's like, holy shit, you know? But again, even if there was a flight that supposedly did connect these two, because you got these people that supposedly say, oh, I have been on that flight, and and it exists. Well, it might exist, but it's like these private planes that maybe fly faster than normal commercial flights, you know? Nobody really knows, but again, you know, I would say this map is wrong anyway. So to try to use a map to debunk, you know, or to prove the globe, I would say is illogical, because nobody knows the dimensions of the Earth.
How do you explain seasons?
Okay, I'm glad you brought it up. So they're actually show right here. So like I said, the sun is very small and very close to the Earth. So when it's our summer, the sun is basically closer, spinning above us, closer to the center. So that's why the south has like 3 months of darkness. when the sun is more closer to the sun. When it's our winter, it starts to open up. So now they have their summer, and now we have our winter because the sun's further from us now. And I don't know if you knew, when it's their summer, they experience like 2 or 3 days of darkness as well in the north, in Alaska. They experience like 3 days of darkness.
If the sun was so close like that, how is it possible that it's so cold up here? Does heat not come from the sun then?
Yeah, heat does come from it, but again, I would say this map is not correct. In other words, they claim that there could be continents. In other words, this could be more expanded out, and there could be more lands in the center. We don't know that.
So wouldn't this then like always be like ice cold if it was so far from the sun?
Well, that's why Antarctica. That's why this is frozen.
You're right, but South America isn't that cold.
Right. Again,
it's really humid.
Yeah, it's like very tropical, right? Because it's close to the equator, is what they say, right? Yeah. So anything that's close to the equator, it's going to get average sunlight throughout the whole year, right? Because that's the center, right? So again, I think that's why it doesn't freeze up, because again, first of all, we don't know the exact dimensions. This is just a rough draft, you know? I would say, again, this is wrong as well. For all we know, all these continents could just be on one side over here, and we're being told that we're going all around it. But in reality, I'm not a pilot. And even pilots don't even navigate themselves anymore. They just follow a GPS. And they admit to this. You know what I'm saying? So we could easily be being lied to about the layout of the Earth, basically. So, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what the Earth actually looks like. What I do know is that the surface of water doesn't bend. You know, it's part of the physics of water. It doesn't it's formless. Water's formless.
Yeah. Sorry to take up so much of your time. I have another question, though. Sure. Like the planes. We were talking about pilots.
Yeah.
How... If the Earth is constantly coming up and the plane doesn't have... The plane is using forward motion to fly, not upward motion.
I don't know if you knew this. Well, first of all, the reason why they have wings is to get a buoyant force. Yeah. Right? And I don't know if you knew this as well. Airplanes don't fly 100% straight. They actually fly 1 or 2 degrees with their nose pointing up.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, why are they not flying straight? Why are they flying with their nose slightly up? I think it's to maintain level altitude.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say because gravity's pulling them down, so they have to, since the plane is so heavy. Yeah, they have to fight their way up against gravity.
I would say, that's an explanation, but regarding the pulling force of gravity. But again, if it was the Earth constant motion, that's what's creating a pressure gradient with the air, is making it compact, and that pressure of the air with the wings is able to basically push it up. That's what buoyancy is. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah. Buoyancy is an upwards push. So again, if you take the wings out of the plane, what's going to happen? It's going to start to come back down. So the Earth is going to start to come in contact with it, in other words. So you need the wings to get that lift, basically.
So how long have you spent researching all this?
Since 2016. 2016. So this has started getting sent. It's been censored since day one. Let me just tell you that. In my opinion, this was a controlled release. So they're trying to control the narrative, and a lot of flat earthers that claim the Earth is motionless, I would say not everybody's lying, but I would say that's the controlled opposition. So that's how they're trying to discredit someone like me, for example, by just lumping me in with those people that claim the Earth is flat and motionless. But the fact is the Earth is in constant motion, and that's what gravity is. You know what I'm saying?
How much time do you think you would have spent between all those 6 years? How much time do you think you spent trying to do all of this?
Okay, so this presentation, I'm doing now, I only started doing it a little over a year ago. So I only started coming out to the public in 2022, because again, I'm antisocial, dude. I hate public speaking. So it was kind of hard for me to come out and do this, but the fact that this is being heavily censored, misrepresenting people like me, for example, and to me, it's just not fair for the rest of us that didn't really come across this genuinely. So again, that's part of the reason why I'm out here, is just because it is being heavily censored. And again, misrepresenting is one of the main reasons. And again, these motionless flat earthers, I will personally not even take them serious. You know what I'm saying? They're using the same ideology that the globe uses. You know what I'm saying?
Can I take a picture of this? I want to go over this map later.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you could take the flyer too. I have plenty of those.
Yeah. Flyer too?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I still don't understand how is this any different from flat Earth? I don't understand.
Because flat has nothing to do with orientation. Level does. Something that's level has orientation. That's why it's level. And again, in order for something to have orientation, there needs to be motion. So the Earth does have orientation, which means it's in constant motion. So again, these flat, motionless earthers are just there to confuse, basically. You know. I don't even call myself a flat earther. I think that's silly.
Yeah.
You know, it's just part of the name calling, just to make it cringy, basically.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make this as cringy as possible so that people don't even look at it. That's the tactic, literally.
So what do you think of all the people that have been in space?
All the astronauts are liars, 100%. Astronauts, 100%
I've heard
liars.
that. I've heard that one is. I feel like is more popular than
Now,
like,
the people on mission control, they could just believe whatever they're being
Whatever
told.
they're told.
Yeah, exactly. But the astronauts are 100% lying.
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
We'll get out of here. Or unless you want to ask more questions. But the human eye, like the distance that we can see is about 10 to ish miles.
That's at 5 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
5 to 6 feet above. Your horizon is between 6 to 9 miles. But if you increase that out to 20 feet, your horizon is going to be probably like at 20 miles or more. So it depends. Again, it's based on altitude.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say whatever it is, even if it's 20 miles.
Sure.
How would we be able to like the fraction of this right here? Like that might be 20 miles. Like that. Like.
Okay. Sure.
Fingernail sliver would be.
If we're looking at it from this perspective, like God's eye view, then yeah. But if we zoom in, it should look like this. Right?
Who did this?
This is me.
This is your map?
This one was made by Brian Willing, which is a physics major. He made this in 2016, again, when this blew up on the internet. And his career was threatened if he didn't stop talking about this. So I don't know if he's genuine or not, or he's part of the, point being is that this is the exact curvature formula of the radius they're telling us. And yeah, the horizon should start to bend. It should never appear. So when you elevate right here, like if we start to elevate, the horizon, if it's sloping down, it should never appear like the ground is rising up to your field of view. You know what I'm saying? It should never do that. But the fact is, when we elevate, the horizon does appear to rise in our field of view. That's why the horizon is always in front of you like this. You never look down.
Is this about like is the world flat?
Level. It's level.
I don't want to like insinuate that you don't know math.
These are the 6 main proofs that debunk the globe. Natural physics.
I just want to ask, has your math ever been checked?
Well,
have you checked? Like, obviously, you check your own math.
Yeah. So the water being level, we all accept that, right?
Yeah.
Even globers will say, "Oh, it's locally flat water," right? So if you claim that water starts to bend at a certain distance, if that's your claim, then the burden of proof is on you to provide that proof.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of globers would like to switch the burden of proof to you prove it's flat. And it's like, what's the obvious? We all accept that it's flat. Globers are claiming that it starts to bend after I don't know how many miles. Again, this is the exact miles. They don't even realize it, but they're claiming that water bends after the first mile, second mile, third mile. Their burden of proof is on them to prove that because physics shows otherwise. You know what I'm saying?
I'm also confused on how it changes per mile like this. Like why?
Yeah, because we're measuring the radius to the center, so that's going to create a curve, obviously, right?
But if it was a sphere, wouldn't it? Maybe I'm like foolish for that, but I just don't see how it could change this much over the span of a mile. I would just have to do the math.
Yeah. So you would think that Earth is just much bigger than they're telling us, then, right? Or you just either that, or you think this math is wrong, right? It's one of the two in your mind, right?
I'm not saying this math is wrong. I'm saying that over a mile for it to change 2 feet and then to change 3 feet, 3+ feet.
Yeah, and then by 10 miles is 66 feet. That's a 6-story building. In 10 miles, that the Earth should, or the water should bend. And there's lakes that are over 20 miles across. Mm-hmm. So at 20 miles, you could look right here. It should be, 266 feet. Who knows how tall that building must be? How many stories that is? That's a lot in 20 miles. The water should be bending.
Who made this?
Yeah, that was this guy.
He was a pilot.
You could say that, but again, he's not longer in the scene. And again, part of the reason, this is just a story, is that his career was threatened if he didn't stop talking about this.
Where did he work?
He's a physics major. I don't know if he worked with some government contractors, probably.
Wait, so is this backed by NASA anymore or no?
Oh yeah, this is a radius. Yeah, if you Google.
No, I'm talking about this.
Is
this backed by NASA?
They don't represent these numbers because it's not in their best interest. Because people are going to start to realize that it's ridiculous. But they do represent this number.
Yeah, they represent this,
Yeah.
but did they ever represent this at one point?
There's a reason why they don't show us those numbers. Because like you said, it just looks ridiculous.
So does anyone represent these numbers other than him or no?
I mean, real people like me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, anybody in this topic, even Globers will accept this, you know, even Globe defenders online,
so
even trolls, basically.
So all of this is just based off this
of the radius
one guy
of the,
right here. So.
No. It's based on the radius. This is math. Anybody
No,
can come
but
up
he
with
made this.
No. Well, he made it in a computer using the radius of the Earth that we're being told. So he just didn't. These numbers are not made up. They're based on the radius of the Earth.
Based on the radius, assuming the Earth is a perfect globe.
Exactly.
The Earth is not assumed to be a perfect globe by NASA.
I know.
It's actually assumed to be. Wait, so then these numbers aren't legitimate.
Exactly.
Now.
So they debunked their own claim of level. I don't know if you knew that they're redefining level as equal distance from the center to the outer circumference.
Well, that's how science works now.
Science
as they learn more.
Yeah, as they learn more, they have to change the different theories.
Yeah, even if you think that Earth is an oblate spheroid, the surface of water should show that.
Wait, so what do you believe?
No. Well, I know that the physics of water, the surface of it, it's level at all times.
Level relative to what?
Level relative to the vertical.
Vertical
perpendicular.
What defines vertical in space?
The motion of the Earth. The Earth is in constant motion.
In which axis, according to you?
Well, up. The Earth is a level plane that's
in constant motion moving up.
Moving up relative to us. So, up relative to us.
It's a disk moving up, or what is it?
No, it's not a disk. Nobody knows what's outside of the Earth.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, the Earth is a contained system, so outer space is just a theory.
So water remains level relative
to the motion vector.
To the motion.
Yeah, to the motion of the Earth.
So you don't believe in gravity then?
Well, gravity is the motion of the Earth. It's a pushing force, not pulling.
Well, that's not what gravity is defined at. And gravity is also not a force, as defined by modern physics.
I know. So you're familiar with the Einstein theory of relativity?
Yeah.
You know what it says?
Well, you can tell me what it says.
So it basically debunked Newton's theory of mass attracting mass, that objects accelerate down.
It actually doesn't debunk it. It just explains it as not being a force and that the space is actually shifting.
Exactly. So it's the Earth coming into contact with this. It's not this coming into contact with the Earth. So that wouldn't make sense from a globe because that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding in all directions.
It doesn't say that it have to be expanding though because
the bending and warping of space.
Can you explain this again? Like what are all the stars at? Like, how do you explain that? Like,
well, the stars are, I would say they're fixed. I don't know if there's a ceiling, but there is I would say the Earth has to be contained because we have air pressure.
So you think like someone has a fucking projector? Like,
no.
Gravity can't
I don't know the cause.
Pressure?
I don't know the cause of the lights. What's creating those lights?
Gravity can't explain the air pressure.
Well, I don't know if you knew gravity is just a theory.
Well, so it's evolution and a lot of things. Everything's just a theory. What's your background?
Well, water being level is not a theory. That can be proven.
Well, it's an observation actually. Because
we can measure it though.
Well, you can't observe all water in the universe.
What will be your definition?
Wait, hold on.
Okay, sure.
I'm not going to definitions with you, but you just said something that's completely a theory.
Okay, sure.
You said water in all aspects of the universe would be level.
No.
Right?
When water's
observed the whole universe,
when
so
water's
it would be a theory that.
No. When water's contained, the surface is always level. If you claim that surface of water bends after a certain distance, then the burden of proof is on you to prove that, because physics shows that water's always level.
What physical theory would prove that? Because technically, there's not really proofs in physics, no.
I mean, the laws of the physics.
How would you define a proof in physics?
Okay,
because proofs are only really applicable in mathematics. You know that, right?
Okay, I would say.
What do you
Let me see.
I'm a major in computer science.
Okay.
I work with satellites for the government, so. I work on satellites.
Satellites?
Yeah, I do. I work for National Oceanic Atmospheric Association. I
don't know if you knew, all the images they're showing us from outer space from satellites are all images, they're not photographs.
Actually, I don't work on images. I actually work on geomagnetic data. So it's a satellite that's in the air, and it would actually take magnetic data of the Earth and from the shape and different metals and such.
So you measure the Earth's curvature with...
I don't measure curvature, so
how would you justify that the Earth is a ball then? Let me ask you that. Physically, using the scientific method of measuring, testable, repeatable...
Well, if we assume that camera footage isn't fake, then you could just send a camera up, which would prove it.
So if I showed you a picture of me flying, would you believe I could fly?
Well, I meant if you assumed it wasn't a lie and you took actual camera footage, which I also have done because I've worked on cube satellites that I built myself with an Arduino. We send it up with a balloon.
My point is that if a claim defies physics, like me flying, for example, and I show you an image, that image has to be thrown away.
Well, unless the image was shown to not be edited.
Well, that's the thing. NASA doesn't produce unedited.
Well, NASA's actually not the provider of most satellite data in the United States.
Who is?
You could look this up. It's actually NOAA. So
and they provide real photographs or no?
Well, NOAA actually doesn't provide image data as much as they do actual physical data. So it'd be like magnetism, you have air pressure, wind pressure, we do hurricane for severe weather, and so a lot of the ways that calculations are done for predicting severe weather, it actually relies on curvature for distances and stuff because it's a non-Euclidean distance.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up Euclidean. That's going to be my next subject. So are you familiar with Euclidean plane geometry?
Yeah, I mean on a basic level that I've done for classes.
So basically, I don't know if you knew, all the blueprints basically that we use to construct railroads, bridges, don't take account of Earth's curvature. They're all plumbs and levels. All the blueprints.
Are you familiar with approximation theory? Of calculus?
Because
a lot of things are
theories
so
now.
irrelevant. Huh?
It's a theory.
Well, no, calculus isn't a theory. It's a way of approximating.
No, the approximation theory you're talking about.
Well, I mean, it's also kind of like the central limit theorem of statistics that if you went, things would approach it. What's your background, if you don't mind me asking you? Because you are laughing at me. It's a bit.
No, it's
and I'm not trying to check you.
No,
it's just
fine,
I'm a grown man. So
no, I would like to stick to the topic at hand.
I know, but wait, what's your background?
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Wait, okay, wait, hold on. I'm just asking, man.
It's irrelevant. I'll choose not to answer that.
It's irrelevant because
we're talking about basic physics that anyone can understand.
How is it? Well, basic would actually be subjective to the viewer, right? And so that being basic, you would actually need to justify your experience level to say that it's basic.
Yeah, water being level at all times, regardless of orientation, it levels out.
But you can understand that that's not exactly like a science. That's like a very basic observation.
Yeah, exactly, very basic physics.
Well, not everything that's basic is basic physics, right?
But water is.
You could say water is, right?
Yeah, water is. And that's the one proof that defines the globe. So here's another thing. Are you familiar with a plumb line or a downwards vector?
Wait, but going back to approximation, a theory, you realize it's just approaching zero. That's calculus. So that's why I asked your background, because I was wondering if you understood limits. And I assume you do. So, right, with railroads, right, if you went small enough, do you think if we went down to this table and we went small enough, we'd have to account for the little indents? No, because it'd be so small that the little indents don't matter, and that's what approximation.
If you're building hundreds of miles of railroads, and I would assume you take account of Earth's curvature, 8 inches per mile square is the claim.
By who? By this?
By the radius of the Earth. So
but this is this is according to the Earth being a perfect sphere, which we already agreed on, which was false.
But even if it wasn't even if it wasn't a perfect sphere, do you agree there should be curvature or not?
Yeah, of course there should be curvature, but curvature would not be noticeable until a reasonable distance.
So that's what I'm saying. The burden of proof is on you to claim to prove that curvature does exist after that certain distance.
So then you're saying that the proof that's been presented is false?
Yeah, images from the outer space. Yeah, those are just.
What about geomagnetic data that would?
Magnetism has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
It actually are you serious?
What does magnetism have to do with the shape of the Earth?
Okay, I'll explain magnetism to you. Please. So magnetism, North Pole, South Pole, you're familiar, right?
That's what I'm told.
So given what you believe, right? I'm assuming you believe that the Arctic Circle and that type thing, right? You believe in the Arctic Circle? That the Earth is like pushed down in the Arctic Circle would contain us.
I'm familiar with all these different concepts, yeah.
So in magnetism, there's a positive and a negative, right, and that determines the flow of magnetism.
Sure, magnets can be measured, right? yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I accept magnets.
So when we send a satellite around the Earth and we're looking at the magnetic field, you observe lines going from this to this, and we go around, and so unless you assume that all the data coming from NOAA, which is actually publicly accessible,
you could physically
that's why I asked
see
your
electromagnetic field?
Well, you could physically see it once you use sensors that would detect it. It's called remote sensing technology. That's why I asked your background, just because I have a feeling,
I don't know if you could
I have a feeling you don't have a technical background. That's why I want to simplify it, because I do work. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd love to present it to you, but I don't think you have enough of it.
So how did you prove the curvature using magnets again?
I didn't prove it. I'm just saying that you can observe it as you go around. I'm not trying to prove it to you. I'm just saying, like it seems, I hate, like, I don't even know how to explain it to you, because it's like, I'm just saying, like, when a satellite goes around the Earth, right, and we're picking up this image data, the sensing of, we have sensors and we have computers, we use supercomputers, and we can take the distance of the strength of magnetic field. When you construct it, it's in a ball, and I also, you can see images, and I do have a security clearance, and I'd hate to break it to you, man. It's not as I don't know. I don't think it's as simple as saying, water is flat, so it's all flat.
It's level.
Level relative to what?
To the motion vector. The motion of the Earth. The Earth is in constant motion.
Well, that's actually, but then you're ignoring gravity, right?
Well, that is gravity. It's the
gravity
motion. It's a pushing force. Pulling forces don't exist.
Gravity isn't a force.
The only forces
you're saying it's the normal force? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the only forces that exist in reality is pressure variance. So something pressing on something else.
The nuclear force that holds all things together isn't a pressure variant. You know that the thing that holds atoms together, it's actually called the nuclear force. It's the
anything
strongest
to do with
force.
atoms is conceptual. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, so you don't believe in atoms?
No. What gives rise to this reality? Those are
okay.
concepts.
Atoms.
Those are
Okay.
concepts.
So
Yeah.
if you split a table, how many times could you split this table before you reach
theoretical.
the smallest?
That's theoretical. I've thought about that before.
Wait, so you know modern chemistry? You know modern chemistry and the things that are used to make your Apple Watch.
Yeah, I accept that because it's
But
tangible.
modern chemistry relies on atoms. You know that, right? Valence electrons.
I would say that they.
Have you ever taken a high level chemistry course?
I mean, I would say they implement these concepts
you
in
haven't.
real
So you-
physics
So you haven't.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that would explain your lack of knowledge on valence electrons. So
Okay.
if you actually look at the periodic table, the way that all elements, do you believe in elements?
I mean, yeah, substance.
So elements,
Substance, yeah.
the
Matter.
property of an
That's
element is
matter.
derivable from the protons and neutrons,
Just like the
which are a
substance of
concept
water
atoms.
doesn't bend.
Oh wait, hold up! But I don't like.
You don't care about the simplicity of reality.
I just don't like to go back, and I know that you probably don't have a formal debate background as well. But I'm just trying to explain to you, like, you believe in atoms, right? If you believe in elements,
I believe that something is giving rise to this reality.
so,
I don't know what
wait,
that is.
and you said
I don't know what
atoms
that
are
is.
not related to chemistry. You said this.
That's conceptual, yeah. If you're claiming atoms are a real thing, that's a concept.
All of chemistry relies on the concept of atoms.
Yeah, I'm glad you call it a concept. A concept means it's not real. It's not.
Wait,
actual.
so you've never taken a high-level chemistry course? You've never used a supercomputer? You've
Okay.
never used an
Okay,
electron
how
microscope?
does that prove curvature?
I'm not saying it. No, I'm not.
No, it's not.
I'm
The
not saying
physics
it
of
proves
water is not a
curvature.
concept. It's reality. We can use it. People use it in construction every day. Water to make sure things are level.
Well,
It's
that
the
comes
number-
back to approximation.
Yeah. In other words, you're claiming that at a bigger distance it starts to curve.
It doesn't start to curve. It's relative to the gravity, which is
equal distance from the surface to the.
it's not equidistant.
That's what they claim. If you look at the definition on
it has
paper,
nothing to do with distance. It has to do with mass. And also, you did say
That's
that
what
you
they-
don't believe in atoms, right? So you don't believe, right?
Well, I know this reality is made up of something.
So
but atoms is just a concept.
So when we create medicine, and we're using valence electrons and chemical
We're going
reactions.
completely off topic right now.
I know, but you're kind of showing that you do have a lack of a scientific background. I'd love to. So if I were to take you, this is a theoretical thing, right? If I were to just show you footage of me making a satellite, sending it up, footage from the ground to the sky, and it showed the Earth at a distance and it showed the globe, you wouldn't believe it, right? You'd say it's fake.
Well, all of these cameras, people have done that. They use GoPro
Yeah.
cameras, so they warp horizontal lines.
Of course, fisheye cameras. And that's to give you a better view when you're actually.
I would say that's to give a false perspective, but
how would you know if you've never participated in formal science what the intention is?
I mean, I have.
You've participated in formal science?
I understand the basic how water behaves.
Understanding a behavior actually isn't science. It'd be the scientific method. I'm not sure if you.
Yeah, scientific method is this, a physically measurement.
Well, no, scientific method isn't a physical measurement.
What is the scientific method then?
You don't know the definition at all?
Measurable, testable, repeatable, observable.
It's taking a hypothesis, measuring, right? Which is, and I know you don't have a.
This is the most simplest experiment to debunk.
So then, planets. I do see Saturn. Like, how would you explain that?
Yeah, these are just lights in the sky. Again, you have to make assumptions about what they are. These are constant, which means that's why they're called.
Are you familiar with how, like, so you don't believe any of NASA's missions?
Oh, no. Anything outside of the Earth, anybody making claims of what's outside of the Earth is just a religion, if you ask me.
So if when I send a satellite up to look at geomagnetism for the Department of Defense, contracted by NOAA,
right?
What are we looking at? We're looking at all fake data, and we're doing fake science.
I don't know. I don't know what you're looking at. I'm not seeing what you're looking at. If I seen what you're looking at, if you could show me what you're looking at, I could tell you what it is.
It's all publicly available data, actually.
Oh, wait, what would be the point of like faking all of this? Like, what are they trying to hide? I don't understand.
It's a religious thing, right?
No.
You're not Christian?
Religions are there to control, and the heliocentric model is the biggest religion. Because why? All religions are based on faith, and the heliocentric model is faith-based. There's no. You have to believe in a pulling force of gravity, and that's the explanation to the whole heliocentric model. This force of gravity warps.
What are they trying to hide?
I thought we just agreed that gravity's not a force.
Or the bending and warping of space-time is the explanation to why planets orbit, and all of this is just conceptual based off of theory.
Assuming that it's all a lie.
But it's based on a theory.
So no, but your theory is that the camera footage is fake, right?
No, my
wait, hold up. It is your theory that the camera footage is fake.
No,
that's not foreseeable.
No.
Wait, you just said you thought the camera footage was fake.
I don't like to focus on. They admit it's fake.
Who?
NASA. They don't.
Wait, NOAA admits their data is fake as well.
I haven't looked at their website. So
of course, because you're not a scientist. But I mean, if you look at, come
there
on,
will be the only institution that are taking real photographs of theirs.
Huh?
It would be the only real institution that are supposedly. I mean,
what's the quotes?
They're real photographs.
You don't believe NOAA?
There's no real photographs of the Earth from space. I hate to break it to you.
Not even images that are actually sensing things happening on Earth. So there's air pressure sensors, there are magnetism sensors, you have heat sensors, you have...
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with curvature.
But you would see the curvature once you took the distances of those measurements.
How would you see the curvature by taking the distances?
Okay, so if I had a magnet on the table and I did a gun with the magnet, right?
Okay.
And it told you the distance based on the amount of magnetism coming off of it,
Sure,
right?
sure, like a
and
radar
you keep
gun,
doing
kinda.
it 1,000 times. In a computer, you could tell where the magnet was, right? Relative to where you took it.
Okay, no, I'm
It's
trying
hard
to
explain.
I'm trying to understand.
It's just crazy because I know, like, it's crazy. Like, I'd love to bring you to NOAA. I have a security clearance because it's like insane that you like genuinely. It's all based off that you don't think that
that water bends. Yeah, that's
nobody said water bends though.
I mean, if you're claiming the Earth is a ball filled with oceans,
it bends relative to what? That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, well, in your model, it bends relative
this isn't
to gravity.
My model. This is a model saying that the Earth is perfectly
okay,
spherical.
even if it was oblate sphere, you know, even if it wasn't oblate sphere.
So there is no radius then. There can't be a radius of an oblate sphere. You know that
this
right?
this radius coming from NASA. You need to take that up.
That's
with them.
actually old data, and I'm not a part of NASA.
Well, you should take it up with the space agencies that are giving away this number. All the space agencies go with this number.
It's a general radius.
Even if it wasn't a perfect sphere, would you have to accept that the surface of water has to bend to create?
It doesn't bend though relative to the gravity.
Okay, relative to a horizontal line, does that bend?
There's no such thing as a objective horizontal line in space because it's space.
No, here on Earth, like a level structure like this, the water should.
It depends on how close.
Okay, so the water should deviate in your model, regardless of if it's an oblate sphere or not. It should deviate away from the level, right?
Have you ever seen the laser experiment where the flat earthers try and prove?
Yeah, that's I would say they.
Faked?
Yeah, no lasers. Have you heard of refraction before?
Yeah, through water.
Yeah, the air is like basically a moisture. So when you shine lasers through the air, you're gonna have refraction. So the reason why they're
what
pushing.
What would determine the direction of the refraction?
It's the atmosphere.
Wait, well, what in the atmosphere would determine the direction of the refraction?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know because you're the one dereferencing.
No, I'm showing that there's always going to be refraction. Do you agree or disagree?
If I took a complete vacuum, so if I took you to the particle accelerator in Lawrence Livermore Academy, and we just pointed a laser in a complete vacuum, and it didn't hit the hole where you thought it would, and it went up, would that disprove your theory?
Will you have to create a vacuum that's miles across? And yeah, maybe that could be taken into consideration.
That's completely possible at Lawrence Livermore, right?
Okay, cool.
So
I would love to see that experiment.
What's stopping you from? If you're so smart, why don't you just like go to college and then go to the particle accelerator?
It's not that I'm smart. It's just that the majority have been duped, and if anything, I'm as average as anyone.
I mean, you said you don't believe in atoms, though, so it's like kind of hard to explain.
Why do you believe in atoms? Let me ask you.
Okay, wait. So if you think the atmosphere is moisture, then you'd accept that the atmosphere is atoms in the air.
I don't know what the air's made out of. How do you zoom into the air if it's see-through?
How do you explain like nuclear bombs and stuff?
It's a nuclear fission. That's how a nuclear bomb works. It uses the nuclear.
Okay, what does that have to do with the shape of the Earth?
Because you just said that atoms aren't.
How does nuclear bombs prove curvature of the Earth?
No, I'm just because you referenced that atoms are not real as a counter argument.
What gives rise to this reality? Matter. I accept that it's made out of something, right? To claim that it's little balls that are next to each other.
Nobody said they're balls. They're just modeled as that.
Okay, exactly, because they're a concept. Nobody actually knows what reality is made out of. That's my point.
Yeah, once you go past atoms, but atoms are a pretty well accepted thing in the scientific community.
Yeah, it's accepted. It's a consensus in it. It hasn't been proven. That's why it's only conceptual.
Does chemistry not prove it? Being able to do chemistry?
Yeah, chemistry, you could do experiments, but to claim you know what matter's made out of, that's a concept. Yeah, you could have reactions when you mix things, and stuff like that.
Have you ever seen the periodic table?
Yeah.
So
what does it have to do with
atoms? Well, if you don't know what atoms have to do with the periodic table?
No, it's what supposedly makes up the matter which is in the periodic table. You're going
there's an entire system.
Yes, gold. Okay. There's water.
We can just leave the atoms.
There's different elements. Yeah,
you're not going to get very far in building anything if you don't think atoms are real. Like you can go to the bioengineering lab and they use them all the time.
Okay. But I guess that proves the globe then.
It doesn't prove the globe, but it's just like kind of weird that It's like weird.
Well, let's stick to the globe. The geometry of the globe.
Just the water. That's the
Euclidean plane geometry. The geometry that's used to construct everything we see.
Euclidean. Yeah, of course,
all the
approximation.
All the blueprints are Euclidean.
If you were to zoom out far enough, of course, it would be non-Euclidean. That's approximation.
That's an assumption.
It's not an assumption. It's literally the most integral part of calculus, which is used to build most structures.
I've never seen blueprints with curved lines.
Of course not, because it's an approximation of straightness.
Are you an architect? Do you understand what he's saying? I actually don't understand.
I wouldn't. Of course, you don't understand it. I mean, it's higher education.
No, I understand what he's trying to say.
It's higher education. Like
okay, so the blueprints are not plumbs and levels. That's what you're saying.
Plums and what?
Plumbs and levels.
Of course they are, because it's approximation. It doesn't matter after a certain point. It's so small on the scale. Like the curve is so small that it doesn't make a difference.
So if you make the blueprints longer, then they'll start to curve.
If you build a big enough structure, of course, but there's no
how long?
possible
how
way
long
to build.
does the structure have to be?
I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that if you went past a certain point.
So it's just an assumption you're making right now.
Well, you're saying it would
It's
only
not an
have to be
assumption.
based on the radius, yeah.
Based on the radius that's of a false premise of an Earth that's perfectly spherical. So this isn't, this isn't usable, right? I mean, we already agreed that it's not usable.
Even if it was twice the size, they say, half of this curvature should still be there. Even if it was
Based
less,
on what calculation?
Based on the radius of the Earth. Like even
Based
if you
on
say
the radius of a perfectly spherical Earth?
even if it wasn't perfectly sphere, it still has to have curvature.
Of course, yeah.
Exactly. So that
but it
curvature,
wouldn't be a general actual.
Okay, even if it wasn't a general,
you couldn't generalize something if it wasn't a generalized shape.
Even if it was whatever you're saying it is, it shouldn't be this.
It shouldn't be that.
But it is.
But it is that.
And this proves that the Earth is level.
At a certain distance, and then if you zoom out far enough, no.
Okay, what's that distance? You keep talking about this distance, this magical distance that the water.
Well, in science we use variables.
Okay,
if you
give
don't
me the
know
distance.
the exact. I can't give you the exact distance because it's a variable that I don't know off the top of my head. It's not about memorization. Yeah, are you familiar with algebra? It's a variable.
Yeah,
it's a placeholder.
Algebra. Actually, are you familiar with the Pythagorean theorem?
Of course, yeah, and that's based on the Euclidean space.
Exactly, and that debunks the curvature of the Earth as well.
How so? How would that debunk? How would something happening at a small distance?
Because
I don't
again,
understand what you're trying to say.
you keep saying that it curves at a bigger rate, but what you don't even know that rate that you're claiming.
I don't have to know the rate because it's when you do engineering.
It feels like you're just saying that just to dismiss this simple stuff. And I feel like you're just making up this variable that.
Wait. But this is all based on the assumption that I'm lying to you, though, about sending a satellite up. No, it is. Everything you've said is based on the assumption.
Just because you send a rock.
Sending a satellite and knowing that it orbits around the Earth. It is interesting, but you have to admit, it is based on the premise that when I tell you that there is a satellite above the Earth and it comes around, you're saying that is a false premise and it's a lie and it's all made up and all the data that comes from it is false. On what don't you have to prove that?
Well, you have to prove that, first of all, that Earth is a ball, first of all, to be able to claim that you're going around it.
What would it take to prove it to you?
Physics.
No, if I took you in a spaceship and sent you up, you wouldn't believe it, right? You'd think the windows were straight.
I want a physical measurement of water bending like this.
Wait, so seeing the Earth, if I sent you in a spaceship and you saw the Earth, that wouldn't be enough for you?
First of all, I would be open for that, but that doesn't exist. Nobody actually goes to space. Space is a concept.
Based on what?
Based on you're familiar with entropy?
You can go out and see rockets going up in the air.
Like they shoot rockets up, but then they curve. Go look again. They always curve.
Yeah, because that's how you
get gravity.
Because they're saying they're going over the curve of the Earth. And it's funny how the Earth's always. That's what they say. I mean, you can look it up.
Who says?
NASA.
I'd love to see the quote because that doesn't make that's not it. What?
You just look at a space launch. They all curve back down to the Earth, basically.
Have you ever looked at flight paths? Why don't we fly this way to get to places?
We do. Everyone flies in straight lines.
They fly in straight lines. According to this, right?
Yeah, and right here it will make perfect sense.
But that's non-Euclidean, right?
This is Euclidean. The globe is non-Euclidean.
Well, if you do non-Euclidean computations on a non-Euclidean surface, of course you can transform them to Euclidean on a Euclidean. That's okay, and it's hard to explain polar coordinates versus non-polar. It'd be hard to explain that.
But at the end of the day, the dimensions of the Earth are unknown. I don't claim this is what the Earth looks like. I only show it for reference. The fact is, nobody knows the true layout of the continents and what it actually looks like, what's outside, what the container looks like. Nobody knows that. Again,
so space is not real. It's all a lie.
Yep.
It's based on
outer space. Yeah, it's just a concept.
What I would tell you is actually all of NOAA's data is publicly available. So if you go to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association, they provide most of the data that actually is used by the world.
Sure.
Most scientific people are going to use NOAA data if they're doing anything related to the atmosphere. You could look at that, and I think you'd see something different. I don't think your mind's going to change.
It says no evolution right here.
Yeah.
You don't believe in evolution?
Oh, no. That's a creation story.
So you don't believe in DNA, though, right?
Well, again, I accept that this reality is made up of something, but humans, I think it's very arrogant for humans to think they know what that is.
But like DNA, do you believe in it or not?
I mean, I accept that people, do tests about DNA and are able to I'm assuming like a piece of your hair has like a fingerprint, like a pattern, and that's how they're able to determine. I would assume. I don't know exactly. Yeah, I accept that.
Can we go to evolutionary class?
Sure.
So in the industrial evolution, there was moths in New England or England, and that there were white moths before the industrial revolution. The smog made them turn black. How do you explain that?
Okay, so there is a natural adaptation.
That's evolution.
No. Evolution. No. I'm gonna tell you the difference. Evolution claims one species transformed to a different species.
Over time,
exactly.
It's called speciation.
That's evolution. That has never been proven.
It's called speciation. Well, you can't prove
that's
things
a theory.
that happen at
Over millions of years, of course, that's going to happen.
Well, that's what we're. If you want to believe that, again, that's
so
just
dinosaurs aren't real either.
Yeah, like what about fossils?
That's irrelevant. I'm not even gonna get into stuff
But
like
it's irrelevant to it's relevant.
No,
to
when it comes to the
evolution.
shape of the
What about
Earth,
fossils? You can
talking
go to
about
museums.
dinosaurs.
You can go to a museum and see the fossils.
Okay, when it comes to dinosaurs, you
I
guys
know
should
you don't
look
believe
this
in
up. Look this up.
dinosaurs
Look
either.
this
Yeah,
up.
it's okay.
All the dinosaurs in museums are basically how do they call them? They're basically fake, and they admit to it. You could go
Well,
to any
you
museum.
can have literally things worth millions of dollars hanging
Right,
where
that's the
people could
excuse.
touch them.
Yeah, but if you became an anthropologist or whatever it's
called
called,
a paleontologist.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
you will not be allowed to study these original bones still.
That's actually not true because you can see in the labs if you went to the I actually lived in DC when I was working for
Right.
NOAA. You can go to the labs and see them working on stuff.
Right.
You think it's paid
if
actors?
If you want to believe it, that's fine.
It's paid actors?
No.
Performing science
no.
on the fossils, or they're just doing it to
No,
collect?
everybody that works, most of the people that work for NASA that are not astronauts, just
not
believe.
NASA,
Just
it's the Natural
it's
History
the same.
Museum.
It's the same concept. They
It's
just
not under
believe.
the jurisdiction of.
Okay, whoever's in charge of that department,
Yeah.
the people under them don't need to be on the line.
Well, this is what I'd leave you with because I know it's more of an evidence thing. The people that work at NASA are literally just people like us that go to school and they go to school. And the way we know things to be true is because we send a rocket and we know for a fact that we program the rocket to take a path based on theory of the Earth being curved, right? And then the rocket doesn't blow up.
Right.
Also, you're saying just NASA, but what about all the other world governments?
Yeah,
they're actually worse.
Thing?
They're worse. Their images, their videos are even worse. That's
Well,
why.
of course,
That's why I
we have the
focus
best
on
technology.
exactly. That's why I focus on NASA because they're the ones with the best technology, the better pictures, right?
But
they're
they all
still
accept the same
they're
thing.
still
But
kind of a
NASA
joke.
isn't the one with the best photos of the Earth. It's
I
NOAA.
guess it's Noah. I guess I'll have to
And
look
that's-
into. I'll bring Noah's pictures
all those
next when I
governments still
come.
accept
Well, when you bring Noah's pictures, they won't be light images; they'll be data, like
Or just be numbers, huh? And that proves curvature.
not numbers. It's 3D modeling, and you can look at things. But
Okay.
I mean, you're laughing, man. You've never. I mean, like, do you have any sort of like
Physics?
credentials?
Yeah, water.
Like credentials. I mean, to be laughing, like it's a bit rude, no?
I mean,
Because I'm a grown man, and you're laughing at me.
No,
But I
I'm
already
laughing.
know.
I'm laughing at the
I already
claims.
know that my resume is like. Come
I'm
on
laughing
now.
at the
Come on
claims.
now. You're
I'm
laughing at me.
I'm laughing at the claims.
You're
Don't
laughing.
take it personal.
No, you're laughing at Noah too, and that's people that have worked a lot harder in their life.
Okay,
You know,
if
I get you work hard, you set up the camera, but truly, man, like if people work really hard and they
you
actually
don't think
learn-
people could be duped?
I think people can be duped, but I think the scientific method reigns true.
Yeah, the scientific method that
Yeah, you said this
proves
was
water
fake, right?
doesn't.
The
Yeah,
scientific method isn't just measurement.
No, what these? Oh, these are genuine pictures, but again.
This is a curve, though. You can see the curve. Of the
Oh, yeah. That's just the atmosphere, right? They're making it look
Climb
like.
to Everest and you can see like the
You
curve
can
of the
fucking
Earth.
see it, dude. You can
Right, so
see
you know how
both
high
curves.
Everest is, Mount Everest?
like how
It's
high, but you can
it's about
see
5 miles. You know the height of commercial airplanes?
Pretty
It's
high.
around.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
high.
Also,
there's
you
no
said-
curvature from airplane or even from 20 miles
Also,
in
you
the
said
sky.
something
Even
about
Neil
Of course
deGrasse,
not, because it's not that big. It's not
Wait,
that big
you
of
said
a
even Neil
something
deGrasse
about
Tyson says there's no curve
The
at 20
sunspot's being
miles.
fake, right?
Of course
But-
not. Why would there be a curve at 20 miles? The Earth is massive. It's approximation.
I mean, it's not massive when it's 24,901
You don't
miles
think
in
you don't
circumference.
think that's massive? Like you don't think the Earth is massive?
I mean, it's big,
It's-
but it's not massive like the way you want to make
Like
it
to
seem in your
scale,
mind.
it's literally massive.
Yeah, but it
Wait,
still
To
has
scale
curvature.
of your body, it is massive, and your eyes are a focal point of light.
But
So
when
if
we're
you
talking
research
miles,
optics-
but when
if
we-
you research optics, you'll
Yeah.
see your eyes are such a small focal point of light
Yeah.
that on the Earth it's literally
Here's how
and you know
perspective
what?
works.
I'd say, man,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, everything
you'd be a lot
compresses.
more credible. You would be a lot more credible. Just take
stop.
the classes. No,
Just
take
stop.
no, take the class, no, take the. Wait, no, you're laughing at me again because I didn't say that.
Just a quick second. You said these like shouldn't be possible, but you can see that the clouds are blocking out the sun.
Yeah, if you trace the light rays, it basically shows that the sun is a very small local sun. It's not a big space ball in outer space, 93 million miles away.
That would be based on the shape of the holes, not the position of the sun. The shape of the holes would define how the light went out because clouds refract light, like you just said. Clouds are made of moisture and that refracts light, so that would actually cause that, right? So you agree?
No,
Maybe
I don't
agree.
agree.
That's literally a direct proof using things that you agreed existed, refraction. If we take this right now and I punched holes in it and I took this was like thicker, right? And we drilled holes this way through this table at angles and I put a light,
So you're
light
saying
would
all
come
the
out at
holes?
angles,
So you're
no?
saying all the holes on the camera are
Yeah.
perfectly shaped to give that illusion?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're perfectly shaped, but you got to understand that the sun generates heat. So when you're dealing with moisture, which is reliant on heat and the state of the system, because that's thermodynamics, of course, some of it would change based on whatever the light is coming through.
Right. So you still believe the light is coming in parallel, but right here on
It's
the
not
clouds.
coming in parallel. I didn't say that.
Oh, well, that's the if you believe.
I could disprove that easily. If I had a drill, I could drill holes at angles and then take a
Let me say
lamp,
this.
and no matter where I put the lamp, the light would come out at the same angles.
if
You understand that, right?
Yeah, I understand that. But if
so
you
then you admit that then to scale that would be perfectly.
Yeah, but then you will have to cut. You will have to assume that these holes are perfectly shaped, like you're saying, in an angle to make the light bend.
It's not perfectly shaped.
Well,
Nothing about that gives me a perfect shape.
Let me just say this: you believe the sun's 93 million miles away from the.
I don't know how far the sun is.
Oh, okay. So
I wouldn't agree to a number I don't know, but yeah, I'd assume.
I mean,
it's
you believe
far.
in outer space, right? I would,
Of course, yeah.
assume. So the light from the sun, you would have to admit that it's coming in parallel when it makes contact with the sun, with the Earth.
No.
Right? No.
Not to the surface of the Earth.
You're gonna have to look at your own model.
Okay,
before
if
we
I have
a
an Earth
conversation.
and I have a sun, why would the sun hit this part of the Earth parallel?
No,
what are you saying,
all-
dude? Why would the Earth?
Let me
how
show
would
you.
it
Let me
hit that
explain
part
it.
of the Earth
Let me
parallel?
explain
It
it.
only hit the part of the Earth that's directly parallel to it. That's
No.
That's pretty
Let me show
basic.
you.
Come
Let
on.
me show you. So you have the Earth, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a giant ball over here, right? Which
Yeah.
is the sun, right? The light, because obviously we have day and night supposedly from a globe because the sunlight only hits half of the globe, right?
I don't know if it's half because it's not a perfect sphere, like I said
okay,
again.
but roughly.
No, it's not roughly because
So
you
it
have
only
places
hits
like Alaska
so are you
where
gonna,
it's daylight all the time.
Exactly.
So how would that work?
So you're saying that the sun doesn't hit the half of the Earth with sunlight all the time, or not?
The Earth doesn't rotate on a perfect axis.
Okay, even if it was on the axis, it was. Okay, does light hit half of the sun? If the sun's over here, you have to admit that the sun's hitting the light.
Only if it's a
on this
perfect, only if it's a perfect sphere, which it isn't.
Even if it
because
wasn't,
if it was oblong, different surface areas would be hit, and it wouldn't be half.
Okay, even if that was the case, the light will have to come in parallel.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
why would the light at wait? What do you mean parallel?
Yeah, because if the sun's 93 million miles away at half a million miles of circumference, like they're saying.
So you're saying the distance changes the parallelism?
Well, that's
approximation in that you said you don't believe in, so you can't use that in your argument.
No, I'm saying how that's ridiculous. The globe has to claim that light's coming in parallel, but clearly it's not.
Where does it say that the light's coming in parallel?
You have to look at your own model that you believe.
What do you mean it's coming in parallel though? Like, what does
the
that mean?
light from the sun, the rays of light are coming in parallel. They're not converging.
But the rays of light don't directly point at the Earth; they point in all directions.
Yeah,
out of the sun.
360 degrees.
So a lot of the rays won't hit the Earth parallel.
Yeah, but all the rays.
So you just said and you agree.
No,
what you just said is
the rays that would hit the Earth would be parallel relative to the Earth because the Earth is very tiny compared to the sun.
There'd be tons of rays that aren't directly parallel, that are just off parallel, that are far from parallel.
All right. Well,
you just proved yourself wrong. No,
the sun is irrelevant. The sun is irrelevant to the shape of the Earth.
No, but
you
just proved yourself wrong saying they'd all be parallel. That doesn't make sense. They wouldn't all
That's
be parallel.
what the mainstream claims.
Really?
Yeah.
Then why don't you have that as one of your sources? Because that doesn't make sense that they would all be parallel.
They don't exist. That's the only.
Wait. But you just said that they say it exists, and now you're saying no, they don't have it because I say it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
that
I'm not here to spoon feed everything to everyone. So if you're curious about what your model claims, you should look into it.
Did you graduate high school?
Oh yeah.
wait, I'm going to show you something here. So,
easily.
Are all the rays from this phone hitting the Earth parallel?
The sun's not smaller than the sun in your model.
No. And I'm saying, so as I zoom out, you're saying every ray from this phone is hitting that Earth parallel?
Because the sun's big. That's because this light source is smaller than the sun.
Wait, so you believe in approximation?
No,
as we go out, it's approximate to parallel. You just agreed with me.
You're trying to argue me something that your model claims.
No, but my model doesn't claim
it. It does claim that.
It doesn't. Nobody would claim that all of the rays coming out of the sun
that touch the
are
Earth
magically pointing directly at the Earth. So
have you guys heard of the sticks and shadows experiment? How they measure the length of the shadow to prove the Earth's circumference of Aristotle, right? They're assuming that the light from the sun is coming in parallel, and that's how they're able to measure the angle.
But it doesn't come in parallel in that experiment either.
But that's what they claim.
But that's not what they claim because you don't have sources, no?
The Aristotle experiment from 2,000 years ago.
Aristotle is from 2,000 years ago and is not representative of what NASA believes.
That's literally the foundation of their
And I don't think it was
model.
Aristotle. I think that was Galileo you're referencing. But,
whoever it was.
It wasn't Aristotle. Aristotle was the philosopher of Greece when they didn't believe in the
whoever it
heliocentric
was,
model.
they're claiming.
But now you're referencing people that aren't.
Yeah, okay. I'm a reference.
That's the third time.
I'm a reference the experiment.
It's Galileo.
No, I don't think it was because
it wasn't.
They said
look it up. It is.
I was in the solar system class. They said
so I guess it's 1-1, right?
No, it's not 1-1.
No.
Just memorizing names.
Regardless if this is true, are you like? I don't understand. Like, are you generating money or what's the?
No.
So Okay, bro.
I don't.
That's hard to
take.
You know, you've been laughing at me, so I'm gonna leave you with that, bro.
Sure,
but
sure.
don't, you know, you gotta have perspective, because people that go here,
I do have perspective.
You're where you are. You're where you are, and people are going where they're going. So you won't be, you know, you're not gonna be laughing once people are.
Sure.
You know, and those people will help you later on in life. People with money.
The experiment was
sure.
You have an idea.
All right, you too.
They had to do and then measure the stick, and then
Yeah, it was.
like,
Yeah, that's assuming that the light is coming in parallel. You could see it. You could look it up, literally. They assume the light's coming in parallel, and that's why they're measuring the difference in angle. He does. Obviously, he has a huge bias, you know, to defend, you know, but.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
What's your class?
You want to take a flyer with you? Here, check it out. You could check out the conversations. That's my channel. Yep. I'm live right now too, so.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, man. Yeah, have a good one. All right. There, I'm calling it. It's oh my god. I didn't even change the battery on this. You know, it kind of got I got a little crazy there. Honestly, that was probably the most intense conversation I've had in the year and a half that I've been doing this. That has to be one of the most intense conversations. I didn't even get to finish my video, and you know what? Fuck. I guess I'll go over it in the next one, because it just got a little too crazy. Yeah, I'll go over the video again in the next video. And I'm gonna start packing up already, because goddamn. Way over my limit. Yeah, my fucking mouth is dry. I think it was Aristotle, by the way. He tried to correct me. Like, again, memorizing these fucking names from history and memorizing, you know, the places, you know, and all this bullshit that are man-made concepts. You know, just because you can memorize these things, it doesn't mean you're smart, you know. Yeah. Being smart is way more than just memorizing shit. You know who could just memorize things and repeat it? Parrots. You know, that's where the term parroting comes in. You know, when you just parrot what you heard, you're not understanding the claims, you know what I'm saying? And again, if you're swayed by theories and ideas and just vocabulary, in other words, language, then you're basically lost, you know? And yeah, again, if you have nothing practical to back up your claims, then it's basically pointless what you're debating. You're debating something you don't even know. Again, nothing personal towards the guy that was here, but I kept asking, he kept mentioning, oh, it starts curving after a certain distance. Okay, then you keep bringing up this certain magical distance that that the horizon starts to curve down, and asking for specifics based on this claim you're making, and then you have no specifics, you know. And again, you'll see this time and time again. Every time you try to ask for specifics, practicality, when people make claims about reality, and if you ask the right questions, you're gonna start to see them crumble. You know what I'm saying? Again, they're gonna try to look for anything to discredit you. Again, he was literally just trying to discredit anything else that I had to say. Anything else, like, oh, you believe in dinosaurs? Oh, you don't believe in dinosaurs. Like, oh, what do dinosaurs have to do with the shape of the earth, you know? Kind of funny though. He got triggered that I was laughing. But this is the number one ridiculed topic on the internet right now, literally. And you're telling me, you're trying to tell me that it's not nice to laugh at people. And then another thing, I wasn't laughing at you. Like, you could take that personal if you want, but I'm laughing at the claims. I'm laughing at the mentality behind these claims, you know? If you take that personal, then that's up to you, you know? That's just your problem, you know what I'm saying? I don't take anything personal. Anybody calling me a flat earther or anything, or laughing at me, like, doesn't do anything to me. Literally. Why? Because I know I have the facts on my side, you know? And I just have to represent the facts, and the facts basically speak for themselves, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people that don't like that, they're gonna start to try to word salad you, start talking about theories, particle theory, you know, all these fucking ideas about what reality is and what gives rise to it and what's outside of it, you know, and all this fucking bullshit, you know. Pretty crazy though. It's pretty funny though. It's pretty crazy. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna start packing up. You know, it's pretty late. Yeah, I didn't get the second conversation completely on the other camera. To be honest, it was kind of pointless. You know, we didn't really make any good points. It would have been cool to highlight the response or the reaction, right? That one. I mean, you guys heard it. But yeah, it was it was cool. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I'll finish the video that I was going over, and then the one that I wanted to go over after that one as well. I was actually gonna highlight some comments too that people have been leaving me. Some of the motionless earth proofs. I was gonna highlight some of those too after the first two videos, but hopefully maybe on the next one, you know. So yeah, thanks again for everybody that showed up. You know, sorry I didn't really get to go through the comments. You know, I was constantly, you know, speaking to someone, but probably go over them if I re-edit this or something. But yeah, anybody, you know, wants to ask me a question about what happened today, or if you have any other question in general, you know, that's relevant, you know, you could leave it in the comments, you know, after this video, after the live, and yeah, most likely I'll respond, you know. So yeah, thanks again, and see you guys on the next one. Peace.